Chapter 758. Is that what you want to say? Tsing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi indifferently. Emperor Tai Yi's face darkened. Tsing Hui, do you still not see the situation clearly? Do you want to be stubborn to the end? It seems like you're done. Then, it's my turn. Now, I'll give you two choices. First, hand over your Dao-carrying item, divine weapon, valuable items in your personal space, including your chaos incantation, and I'll let you leave alive. As for the second choice, if you choose to resist to the end, I'll have no choice but to kill you in order to completely eliminate a vacuum-crushing threat like you. Tsing Hui's words infuriated Emperor Tai Yi. Tsing Hui, do you know that you're digging your own grave? 10 years. In at most 10 years, the experts of our true Sun Great World will descend upon the divine wilderness world. Only by joining us at this time and relying on us can you avoid this calamity that will destroy the entire divine wilderness world. I am saving you. Are you really willing to fight to the death when the time comes and be our eternal enemy? It seems that you've chosen the latter. Moreover, I believe that an unyielding senior like Emperor Tai Yi would rather die than submit. Therefore, I won't waste my breath and time persuading Emperor Tai Yi to hand over your Dao-bearing item and divine weapon to protect yourself. I'll fulfill Emperor Tai Yi's wish and send you on your way. With that, Qing Su raised his hand, and a streak of light had already condensed at the tip of his finger. Are you crazy? Don't tell me you still can't see the situation clearly. You won't gain anything by choosing to stubbornly resist eternal. Emperor Tai Yi roared angrily, as if he hated Zhou Donghuang for not fighting. I've only cultivated to this level for a dozen years. Who knows what level I've broken through in 10 years? The unrivaled realm? Or world creation? Do I need to be afraid of the people from Eternal who are about to arrive? Moreover, do you really think that we don't know anything about your Eternal and the true Sun Great World behind you? When the time comes, we will naturally have a way to stop the cultivators of the true Sun Great World from coming to our divine wilderness world. Even Wu Lu Dao Master has seen this clearly, so he chose to surrender to our Heaven's Vault 4 sects. But you have always harbored extravagant hopes. Alright, let me send you on your way. Wait a minute. Seeing that Tsing Hui's sword light was about to strike down, the Tai Yi Emperor's expression finally changed. He hurriedly shouted, did you just say that Wu Lu Dao Master has already surrendered? He actually. That's right, the Leakless Dao Sovereign has indeed surrendered and is willing to give the heavenly law base to our 4-sect alliance to become our 4-sect alliance's new base. However, there's no point in telling you this now. I will fulfill your loyalty to the true Sun Great World. When Emperor Tai Yi saw the sword light coming, he finally lost his previous confidence. He cried out in frustration, Stop! Stop! I agree to your conditions. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, if you don't attack, I will agree to your conditions. Very good. Then, hand over your Taoist items, divine weapons, treasures of heaven and earth, and chaos incantation. Also, make a chaos oath. This chaos oath is to ensure your interests and also our interests. I understand. When Emperor Tai Yi heard that Tsing Hui was willing to make a chaos oath, he was slightly relieved. Now that his life was in Tsing Hui's hands, if Tsing Hui really wanted to kill him, there was no need for him to do so. After violating the chaos oath, his chaos level would be lowered by 5 levels, which was a whole 500 Taoist rhymes. Therefore, with this chaos oath, he believed that Tsing Hui was willing to let him live. However, when he thought of the fact that he had to hand over all his Taoist items and divine weapons to Tsing Hui, Emperor Tai Yi could not help but feel a pang of heartache. He was really back to square one. Fortunately, his vacuum-shattering cultivation was still early. He only needed to settle down for a period of time before he could make a comeback. Very good. However, you must also tell me all the information about True Sun Great World that you mentioned just now. I will also include this information in the Chaos Oath. Now that Emperor Tai Yi had given in, he did not force himself. After making a Chaos Oath with Tsing Hui, he replied, in fact, although the people from True Sun Great World have already obtained the coordinates of our world, without our cooperation, they will not be able to arrive in a short period of time. After all, it is too difficult and exhausting to teleport from one world to another without the help of the Chaos Temple. This is especially true for the first round of teleportation when the space passage is opened. Therefore, the experts from True Sun Great World will only arrive in 100 years at the earliest. 100 years. Tsing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi and could not help but sneer. Emperor Tai Yi had said that 100 years was 10 years. He was really good at bullshitting. Emperor Tai Yi was a little embarrassed, but still said, the main problem is that we do not have enough void crystals. If we had enough void crystals, or even obtained the world core from Sword Master Tsing Hui, we would have been able to activate the formation and complete the connection between the two sides. The people from True Sun Great World would then be able to trace and lock onto the transmission channel provided by our transmission formation. When the time comes, they would be able to easily travel to and from the divine wilderness world. This process may not even take a year. I chose an intermediate number between 1 year and 100 years. I am not lying to you, Sword Master Tsing Hui. Unfortunately, Eternal will never be able to take the world core from Sky Dome World for yourself. Tsing Hui said indifferently. Emperor Tai Yi was speechless. Eternal has already contacted True Sun Great World 1,000 years ago. Tell me in detail about the current situation of True Sun Great World. This is all included in the Chaos Contract. If you hide anything from me, the Chaos Contract will activate and cause your Chaos level to fall. I will immediately sense it. At that time, don't blame me for being ruthless. I will tell you everything I know. Emperor Tai Yi hurriedly agreed, and then organized his words a little before slowly saying, back then, True Sun Great World and Heaven Great World invaded Divine Wilderness Great World together. In the end, both sides suffered great losses. Divine Wilderness Great World was completely destroyed, and True Sun Great World and Heaven Great World were no exception. However, compared to Heaven Great World, our True Sun Great World was not attacked by other hostile worlds. Although all the supreme ancestors of True Sun Great World had fallen in that battle, in the past 10,000 years, 3 supreme ancestors had risen to power and occupied the 3 most prosperous continents of True Sun Great World. As for the remaining 3 continents, 2 of them were occupied by divine beasts and saint beasts, and they were heaven for fierce beasts. The last one was occupied by the fierce beasts and the cultivators who were expelled from the 3 continents. Supreme Ancestor. Is that the Chaos Realm? Yes. Monarch Tai Yi nodded. In the vast cosmos, only those who can create a world with a thought can be considered true almighties. For example, in our divine wilderness, we call divine power realm almighties only because true experts are too rare. As for those at the primal chaos realm who can create a world with a thought, all of them occupy a continent, protect a civilization, a race, or even a great world. Such people are often called supremes or patriarchs. True Sun Great World has 3 Chaos Realm Supremes. Tsing Hui's heart turned solemn. According to the ancient records passed down from the divine wilderness, the Chaos Realm is also divided into 6 realms. Which 6 realms are they? Emperor Tai Yi smiled bitterly. I'm just a small vacuum-shattering cultivator, so I really don't know. I only know that every Chaos Realm powerhouse is called a Supreme. As for how the 6 realms are divided, I really don't know. At this point, he was afraid of being punished by the Primal Chaos Contract, so he hurriedly revealed his guess. However, it's rumored that 10,000 years ago, the Divine Wilderness Great Worlds Organization, Immortal Emperor, had given birth to an existence known as a ruler. That ruler had most likely broken through to the 2nd level of the Primal Chaos Realm. Sword Venerable, go find out. Supreme. Tsing Hui nodded and said no more. All right, that's all for now. Hand over the items. Yes. The Tai Emperor was unwilling to give up. He took out all the items in his personal space and had them transferred into Qing Su's personal space. It had to be mentioned that as an eternal sovereign and ruler, the Tai Emperor possessed far more treasures than regular saints. Regular saints would have around 200 treasures, but as an eternal ruler, the Tai Emperor possessed a shocking 1,600 treasures, which was more than half of the treasures found on the saints earlier. With these treasures, Qing Su would be able to take down the Wood Spirit Queen and the Originator with difficulty even without waiting for the treasures to arrive. Not to mention that the Tai Emperor also possessed other valuable treasures and weapons apart from the treasures. The value of all these treasures would definitely exceed 3,000 charms of Wei's in total. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, can I leave now? Emperor Taiyi's expression turned bitter when he realized he was penniless. Of course. You can leave now that you've handed over the items. With that, Qing Su flicked his hand, and all the chains on the Tai Emperor were removed. Afterwards, he ignored the Tai Emperor and made his way out of the prison first. However, other than Venerable Origin's son, there was another person waiting outside the prison. It was Sword Master Profound Comprehension, who had been killed by Imperial Lord Tai with a single strike. It was only after everyone rescued his corpse and used a resurrection technique that they were able to revive him. Sword Master Profound Comprehension, I'll leave him to you. I promised him to leave Sky Dome. Once he leaves Sky Dome, his life and death are no longer under our jurisdiction. Therefore, it's up to you how you want to take revenge. Tsing Hui smiled at Sword Master Profound Comprehension. Thank you, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. Haha, he's exhausted his essence, chi, and spirit. I'm afraid he's even weaker than an ordinary almighty. In addition, he's already handed over many of his treasures. If I still can't kill him, then I'd rather buy a piece of tofu and kill myself. Sword Master Profound Comprehension said. Tsing Hui nodded slightly and strode away. He had to take down the Originator and the Wood Spirit Queen as soon as possible. Chapter 759. As expected, I haven't refined the innate charm in my sword moves, so I can't bear the power of the Grand Origin. There's only one way to refine the Grand Origin, and that's to refine it into my Deep Scarlet Sword. Once I obtain the Grand Origin, the Deep Scarlet Sword's power will definitely skyrocket. Correspondingly, my attacks will rise as well. Tsing Hui stared at the strand of grayish-black energy that gave off a profound presence in his courtyard. He felt a sliver of pity. He possessed 3 Grand Origin treasures that all Saint Realm experts yearned for. However, due to the deviation in his cultivation system, he was unable to use the benefits of the Grand Origin for himself. He could only choose to refine the Grand Origin into the Deep Scarlet Sword like he did with the Extreme Way of the Sword, completing the peak weapon. Let's see just how far you can grow. Tsing Hui felt a slight sense of regret, but he did not hesitate. His battle prowess would increase markedly if the Deep Scarlet Sword transformed. He immediately refined the Grand Origin into the Deep Scarlet Sword without any hesitation. After being refined by the Originator, the Scarlet Abyss Sword began to transform as he had guessed. Strands of energy from the Originator fused into the Scarlet Abyss Sword, constantly cleansing the Scarlet Abyss Sword's body and increasing its power until the Scarlet Abyss Sword could completely contain the Originator's power. There are 2 more Grand Origins left. Tsing Hui's gaze paused on the Deep Scarlet Sword for a while before shifting to the remaining Grand Origins. He planned to give one to the Venerable Master Tsang Qiong. As for the other, the best choice in his heart was none other than the Venerable Master Tsang Zhen. Unfortunately, the Venerable Master Tsang Zhen had yet to break through to the Domain Realm. Even if he used the Grand Origin, he would not be able to use it. Let's wait and see. Tsing Hui thought as he projected a portion of his consciousness into his personal space. Many exotic flowers and fruits had been planted in the space he had carved out from his personal space. Even the dragonization fruit tree that he had obtained from the spatial maze had been planted there. Apart from that, the wood spirit queen that he had bought from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had been placed there as well. However, as the wood spirit queen was too reliant on spiritual energy, even though Tsing Hui had placed all the upper grade and supreme grade spiritual crystals he obtained from those saints into this space for the wood spirit queen to absorb and refine, the wood spirit queen had only given birth to 3 wood spirits. It was still far from evolving into a large-scale wood spirit race. Under the care of the 3 wood spirits, the dragonization fruit tree was gradually showing signs of life. Tsing Hui was filled with anticipation. If the dragonization fruit tree could produce a large number of dragonization fruits again, not only would his body become significantly stronger, reaching the level of a class 13, class 14, or even class 15 creature, but even the essence of his life could break through again under the influence of the dragonization fruit, reaching the level of a divine beast. When that happened, he could use the transformation technique to transform into a divine beast. Whether it was the duration or the grade of the divine beast he could transform into, he would be much more powerful than he was now. Even the 49 strands of sword chi that he had nurtured would become much more powerful. I wonder what kind of effects will there be if I bury a portion of the originator here for the wood spirit queen to absorb. Tsing Hui stared at the wood spirit queen and the 3 wood spirits that she had given birth to for a while as he thought to himself curiously. However, after a while, he suppressed that thought. The originator was far too useful right now. Using it to nurture the dragonization fruit tree would be a waste. It was better to wait until he bought more of the originator from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion before considering using it in his personal space. Over 4,000 Daoist rhymes worth of items carrying Daoist rhymes have been completely spent. Tsing Hui turned his gaze away from his personal space and glanced at his chaotic class. He could not help but sigh. However, when he thought of the large amount of items carrying Daoist rhymes he would receive after selling the divine weapons of the saints, he felt a lot more relaxed. Even though the divine weapons that the saints had bought from him were all sold at a friendly price, which was much lower than the market price, and many people did not have the ability to pay for these divine weapons in a short period of time, Tsing Hui estimated that after these divine weapons were all sold, he would still receive more than 5,000 Daoist rhymes. The foundation of the divine wilderness world, too powerful. The cultivators of the divine wilderness world might lack crucial cultivation resources, but they definitely did not lack items carrying Daoist rhymes. Sword Sovereign Tsing Hui. Just as Tsing Hui was calculating his final profit from selling these divine weapons, a voice came from outside. Sword Master Bai Heng. Hearing this familiar voice, Tsing Hui was a little surprised, but he quickly said, "Please come in." The door was pushed open and Sword Master Bai Heng, dressed in white, walked in, bringing with him the faint fragrance of a young girl. There have been many things happening during this period of time. I have yet to congratulate you on becoming an ultimate expert, Shuaing. Looking at the youthful and beautiful Sword Master Bai Heng in front of him, Tsing Hui said with a smile. You must be laughing at me. Compared to you, my so-called ultimate expert is not just a little bit worse. I am different from you. Tsing Hui said. His achievements today were all due to the Fortune Divine Jade, but Sword Master Bai Heng, she had only relied on herself. When Sword Master Bai Heng first entered the cultivation world, he practiced the sword for 3 years. In the autumn moon, he placed his thoughts on people and comprehended sword intent. After practicing the sword for 36 years, he suffered a calamity and his father passed away. He was heartbroken and his sword intent reached the large success stage. After practicing the sword for 84 years, he sensed the yin and yang of the world, the changes of the sun and the moon, the cycle repeated, and his sword intent reached perfection. After comprehending the sword for 104 years, his sword transformed into a great sun, the universe within it, and his sword momentum began to take shape. Up until now, it was said that she had cultivated for less than 200 years. In 200 years, she had become one of the strongest experts in the divine wilderness. Her talent was so high that it was unprecedented. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly Tao viewed her and her White Rainbow Sword sect as a huge threat. The Karma Peak stronghold even personally monitored the White Rainbow Sword sect. By constantly causing trouble for the White Rainbow Sword sect and drawing Sword Master Bai Heng's attention away, he was able to remain in the domain realm for several decades. But even so, she had still stepped into the divine realm in less than 200 years. What kind of talent was this? At the very least, when he thought back to everything he had encountered along the way, Tsing Hui could only admit that he was inferior in terms of talent. Shuaying, may I know why you're here this time? Of course I'm here for your supernatural power, Tsing Hui. You should know that I've been in seclusion ever since I broke through the seal of the Chaos Tao Master. During this period of time, I've developed a new swordsmanship behind the concept of your Sword of the Sun. I want to show it to you and ask you about your understanding of this swordsmanship. Oh. You've created a new swordsmanship after the Sword of the Sun? Tsing Hui couldn't help but be surprised when he heard this. After all, he had gathered the wisdom of all the researchers on Earth to deduce the Sword of the Eclipse and the Sword of the Black Sun in a short period of time. Now, Sword Master Bai Heng had deduced a new swordsmanship in just a few years, which made him quite curious. What swordsmanship is it? I've discovered a very interesting phenomenon. As Bai Shuaying spoke, she took out her sword and shook it slightly. Suddenly, the entire cultivation room seemed to be swept up by a storm, causing the room to flutter. Sorry, I was in a hurry. After Bai Shuaying finished speaking, she activated her domain and wrapped it around her sword. Then, the sword in her hand began to vibrate again. Streaks of fiery light appeared amidst the vibrations. These were the flames that were emitted by the Sword of Sunlight after its power had been reduced to the minimum. Supernova Starburst. Seeing the mystical power that escaped from Bai Shuaying's swordsmanship, Tsing Hui was slightly startled. Although the power of her swordsmanship was much weaker than that of the supernova starburst, the direction of development and the principle of energy utilization were completely the same as that of the supernova starburst. He didn't expect that she would be able to push the Sword of the Sun to such a level with her own wisdom. Next should be the form of the Sword of the Sun. Look. Is there any difference between the flames at the very center and the flames at the edge? Bai Shuaying asked excitedly after her swordsmanship had been deduced for a while. What's the difference? Tsing Hui stared at the flames of energy escaping from Bai Shuaying's sword. Aren't you going to continue evolving your swordsmanship? The collapse of energy will eventually form a kind of supergravity that will imprison the surrounding space. Supergravity? Imprison space? Bai Shuaying's starry eyes lit up when she heard this. That's a line of thought. However, what I've observed is the abnormalities within and outside the collapse of energy. Have you noticed that when the collapse of energy forms a supergravity, the speed at which the energy circulates is completely different from the speed at which the energy circulates outside? It's like, time is being shortened under the influence of this supergravity. Time is being shortened. Before Tsing Hui came to the divine wilderness, he had a deep understanding of the evolution of stars. Gravity did indeed have an astonishing effect on spacetime. In a field with great gravity, 1 hour inside could be equivalent to a year outside. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui didn't dare to use his theory of the Sword of the Sun to look at the third sword Bai Heng had deduced. Sword Master Bai Heng was a true genius that he was ashamed of. Her genius theory was very likely to be even more amazing than the swordsmanship he had deduced by combining all the scientists on Earth. After all, scientists weren't cultivators. They could only provide data as a reference. The one who had truly deduced the Sword of the Sun was Tsing Hui. However, Bai Shuaying was different. She was an expert in the divine realm. This advantage was far from what Tsing Hui and the other scientists could compare to. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui immediately focused on observing the changes in Sword Master Bai Heng's swordsmanship. Half an hour later, Bai Shuaying's face was a little pale as she stopped the evolution of her third sword. She felt a little regretful, but at the same time, she was filled with anticipation for the future. This is the theory of the third sword that I developed after learning the Sword of Glorious Sun and the Sword of Dazzling Sunday. Unfortunately, this sword consumes too much energy, so my progress is very slow. I have a feeling that if I can really create this sword and continue to study it, I will definitely be able to walk down a completely different path. Chapter 760. Tsing Hui thought about the curvature theory of gravitational spacetime that he had collected from Earth's civilization. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded seriously and said, "I believe you." In the end, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "How did you derive this sword technique? You might not believe me if I tell you." A hint of wonder appeared on Bai Shuaing's face as she said, "A few years ago, due to the war between the primal chaos and the primal chaos, I coincidentally entered a world with extremely advanced alchemy. The people of that world are weak, but they possess a different type of power, and their ability to utilize the power of nature is astonishing. I learned some of their key theories, which allowed me to derive the prototype of this sword technique. It's just a pity that the war between the primal chaos and the primal chaos lasted far too short a time, a world with extremely advanced alchemy." Tsing Hui knew that the people of this world would call technological civilizations an alchemy civilization. It seemed that Bai Shuaing had arrived in a civilization similar to the future form of Earth's civilization. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui didn't hide his knowledge of spacetime curvature theory. He directly said, "I have some knowledge that should be of some help to you in deriving your brand new sword technique." "Oh." Bai Shuaing's beautiful eyes immediately widened. "That's great." After a moment, she seemed to have thought of something and said, "However, I can't take advantage of you. This sword technique was derived by the two of us back then, right? I'll teach you the evolution of my current embryonic form of this sword technique. When the time comes, the two of us can study this sword technique together and strive to perfect it and derive it." "Okay." Tsing Hui nodded. He was also very curious about Bai Shuaing's sword technique that involved spacetime. Considering the fact that Bai Shuaing's research into this sword strike was limited by the amount of energy she expended, he couldn't help but say, "I can take care of your excessive energy expenditure for you. You can solve it. The energy requirement of my sword technique isn't simple. Even a level 10 recovery ability is far from enough." When Qing Su said that, he vaguely felt that he had spoken rather rashly. However, when he considered the fact that Sword Master Bai Heng was on the same side as them right now, and the fact that the Zhangzhen monk was unable to use the Grand Genesis that should have been left for the Zhangzhen monk, he stopped hesitating and said directly, "I have a Grand Genesis with me." "The Genesis?" Bai Shuaing looked at Tsing Hui in confusion. Clearly, she had no idea what the Genesis was. After all, not every Saint Stage powerhouse could come into contact with a peak existence like the Genesis, especially Sword Master Bai Heng, who had cultivated for less than 200 years. "This is it. Refine it with the power of your domain. You will naturally understand the mysteries of this item." Tsing Hui took the Genesis that contained a mysterious aura. Bai Shuaing did not think too much about it when she saw that. Right now, she was in a hurry to perfect the theory behind her third sword strike. Since Qing Ruins had a way to resolve the problem she faced, she did not hesitate either. She directly refined the grand origin into her domain. Seeing this, Tsing Hui couldn't help but be speechless. "You're refining it just like that? Aren't you afraid that I'll harm you? You're a big shot who can easily kill vacuum-shattering experts. If you want to harm me, you don't need to resort to such means. Moreover, the item you're giving me is obviously mysterious and extraordinary. I'll take it first." Bai Shuaing said with a generous smile. "All right, you won't regret your choice today," Tsing Hui said. Bai Shuaing responded. In just a short moment, the Genesis that she had refined into her domain began to react. She immediately became alert. Before she could finish speaking, she immediately sat down cross-legged and quickly entered a state of cultivation. She focused all her attention on refining the genesis. "You're quite bold." Tsing Hui watched Swordmaster Bai Heng enter a state of cultivation in front of him. He didn't know if he should be moved or mocked at her trust in him. Shaking his head, Tsing Hui left the cultivation room and activated the cultivation room's array formation. He left Swordmaster Bai Heng to cultivate while he went to another cultivation area. The transformation technique and divine technique had cooldowns. Without them, it wouldn't be easy for him to tear apart the divine wilderness with divine venerable ancient desolation. Therefore, he still needed to wait for a while. Taking advantage of this time, he simply took out Swordmaster Bai Heng's theory of her sword and studied it carefully. He wanted to see if he could refine this theory into his Sword of Solar Eclipse and Sword of Black Sun to make these two swords even more perfect. When Tsing Hui entered a state of cultivation, everyone in the divine wilderness who knew about the fate of the eternal and heavenly Tao cultivators immediately felt uneasy. At this moment, the divine wilderness, led by divine venerable ancient desolation and assisted by divine venerable sky splitter, had gathered together to discuss how to deal with the rise of the heavens' four sects. The meeting had been going on for 2 days now, but all the saints and transcendent realms were still arguing with each other. They hadn't come to a conclusion at all, and it seemed like they would continue arguing like this until the end of time. Seeing this scene, divine venerable ancient desolation, who had been patiently waiting for them to come up with a solution, finally couldn't hold back and slammed the table. "Enough. Quarreling, what else can you do other than making meaningless noise? We're now discussing how to deal with the crisis of the heavens' four sects, not arguing endlessly. It's already been 10 days. Can you still not come up with a feasible solution?" This. Among the crowd, Divine Venerable Vast Sea hesitated for a moment, but still stepped forward and said, "Divine Venerable, it's not that we don't want to think of a solution to the problem we're facing, but we really don't know where to start. Tsing Hui is really too amazing. After using the transformation technique, he can actually transform into a 16th order divine beast Kunpeng. He's so powerful that even the Tai Emperor who broke through to the void-shattering realm was not his match and was captured alive. Even if we racked our brains, how can we make up for the huge gap between the divine domain realm and the divine true body realm? Yes, fortunately, our divine wilderness is not part of the eternal and heavenly Tao, so we don't have any irreconcilable grudges with the heavens' four sects. Moreover, judging from Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's attitude towards the divine wilderness experts during this period of time, he doesn't seem to have any intention of stirring up a storm of blood in our divine wilderness world. How about, we just follow the leakless holy man and rely on Sword Venerable Tsing Hui? In any case, if this trend continues, the divine wilderness will be unified by Sword Venerable Tsing Hui sooner or later. He will also take advantage of this opportunity to become the master of the Chaos Temple and take control of the Chaos Temple in our divine wilderness world. Divine Venerable Feng Shao said with a slightly probing tone. What a bunch of nonsense. As soon as he finished speaking, Divine Venerable Sky Splitter, who had a conflict with Tsing Hui, angrily rebuked him, "Look at all of you, are all of you scared out of your wits by Tsing Hui? No matter how powerful he is, it's only because of his transformation technique. Right now, his transformation technique is obviously in cooldown period, which can be deduced from the fact that he hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity to attack the heavenly Tao station. In my opinion, what we need to do now is to take advantage of the cooldown period of Tsing Hui's transformation technique to directly kill Tsing Hui." As Divine Venerable Sky Splitter spoke, his gaze turned to Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation. "Divine Venerable, you are an expert at the void-shattering realm. Wouldn't it be easy for you to kill Tsing Hui without his transformation technique? Otherwise, when Tsing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period is over, what awaits our divine wilderness will definitely be a disaster." I think Divine Venerable Sky Splitter's words are reasonable. The reason why Tsing Hui hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity to attack the heavenly Tao is mainly because of the cooldown period of his transformation technique. Therefore, we must take advantage of the fact that he can't use his transformation technique to transform into a rank 16 divine beast, Kuanpeng, to kill him and eliminate this threat once and for all. A divine venerable powerhouse stood up to express his support. Two other divine venerable powerhouses also nodded, agreeing with divine venerable Sky Splitter's words. Everyone, what you said about taking advantage of Tsing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period to kill Tsing Hui is true, but what if we can't kill Tsing Hui? Don't forget that the Heaven Vault sect side still has 3 supreme experts, Zhu Zhao, Chengying, and Bai Heng. These 3 supreme experts may not be a match for divine venerable ancient desolation if they join forces, but it won't be difficult for them to delay divine venerable ancient desolation for a period of time with the help of the Heaven Vault sect's formation. Once Tsing Hui uses these people to delay his transformation technique's cooldown period, our divine wilderness will really have no way of retreat. Divine Venerable Vast Sea said in a deep voice. He was obviously not optimistic about taking advantage of Tsing Hui's transformation technique's cooldown period to kill their way into the Heaven Vault sect. What are you afraid of? The worst outcome is that we can use our teleportation technique to escape and live incognito from now on. Don't tell me that if we don't take the risk, Tsing Hui and the Heaven Vault sect's people will let us go. Divine Venerable Sky Splitter squinted at Divine Venerable Vast Sea and said, "Are you willing to submit to Tsing Hui from now on and do things at his whim?" Yes, I agree with Divine Venerable Sky Splitter. If we don't take the risk, I won't be satisfied. Yes, the worst outcome is to leave the divine wilderness and find a nameless continent to live incognito and look for an opportunity to make a comeback. Anyway, Tsing Hui and the Heaven Vault sect's forces won't let us go no matter what, so we should take the risk. 2 more divinity stage powerhouses immediately expressed their attitudes. In an instant, 7 out of the 13 Saint Realm experts of the Divine Wilderness and the Great Wilderness sect had already expressed their attitudes, more than half of them. In that case, Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation saw that the Saint Realm experts had all made their decisions, as if he had also made a decision. A cold light flashed in his eyes and he said, then as Divine Venerable Sky Splitter said, we'll take the risk. Divine Venerable, you can't. Even if we take the risk, we've already missed the best opportunity. It's been 10 days since the battle. In 10 days, Tsing Hui's transformation technique might have cooled down. If we go there now, we'll be like wolves in a tiger's den. Moreover, the so-called teleportation technique is not feasible. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's sword intent is unbelievably powerful. How many of us here can withstand his sword intent? Divine Venerable Vast Sea tried his best to stop them. Sword intent. Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation's heart trembled violently when he heard Divine Venerable Vast Sea mention Tsing Hui's sword intent. The Saint Realm experts, who originally thought that they could rest easy with the teleportation technique, were also shocked. They immediately thought of the fate of the Eternals and the Heavenly Tao. Those saints. Didn't they also have the teleportation technique? However, under the bombardment of Tsing Hui's sword intent, they didn't even have time to activate the teleportation technique before they were severely injured by the sword intent and fainted, becoming prisoners. For a moment, the Saint Realm experts stopped talking. Divine Venerable Ancient Desolation, who had just gained a little bit of fighting spirit, was once again depressed. Everyone, the true goal of the Divine Wilderness is nothing more than to pass down the inheritance and to go to a wider world to pursue a higher cultivation realm. Now that Sword Venerable Tsing Hui has the ability to unify the Chaos Shrine and the Divine Wilderness, why should we stop him? Besides, even if we stop him, how can we stop him? In my opinion, instead of this, why don't we go with the flow and rely on Sword Venerable Tsing Hui? Chapter 761. The decision of the Divine Wilderness was not only surprising to everyone in the Firmament Realm. Even Qing Su, who had come out of seclusion, was surprised. He had thought that he would have to transform into the Kuanpeng to teach the Divine Wilderness a lesson before the people of the Divine Wilderness would obediently submit to him. He never expected them to take the initiative to come knocking on his door. In the conference hall in the sky, the Reverend Zhenjiao, the Reverend Firmament, the Reverend Xingyi, the shadow-bearing sword-master, the profound comprehension sword-master, the rainbow sword-master who had hurried over from the rainbow sword sect, and the true god of suffering and the only true god who had hurried over from the black flame sect all watched as the Reverend Primordial Desolation, the Reverend Vast Sea, and the others treated the Green Ruins sword-master with rather strange expressions. Since when did Supreme God Ancient Wilderness, who was so powerful in their hearts that it was almost impossible to defeat and contend with him, take the initiative to submit to him? Over a decade ago, the Divine Wilderness, the Way of Heaven, and the Eternal School planned on working together to clear out the Divine Wilderness and the Children of Chaos, but they never expected that in just over a decade, the Way of Heaven would have already been dispersed. It basically existed in name only, while the Eternal School had completely collapsed. Even the ruler of the Eternal School, the Tai Emperor, who had always reigned at the top of the ranking of the strongest in the Divine Wilderness, had been slain by the Sword Master of Profound Comprehension before he could recover. And now, the only super-large organization of chaos, the Divine Wilderness, wanted to submit to the Green Ruins Sword Venerable. The Divine Wilderness, Tian Dao, and Eternity had all been disintegrated. Firmament Master and Sword Shadow had united as one. How could the remaining chaos organizations, such as Temple of Saints, Grand Supreme, and Crimson Wings, fight against them? At this rate, it would not be long before Firmament Master completely unified the Chaos world and had a chance to become the Master of the Chaos Temple. Thinking of this, Firmament Master and esteemed Zhu Zhao looked at each other and saw the excitement and anticipation in each other's eyes. Does the Divine Wilderness want to submit to us? I can agree. However, it is true that the Divine Wilderness wanted to rob us of the heart of the world when Firmament Master was threatened by Eternity. We will not let this matter go so easily. Therefore, hand over the Taoist rhymes of the Divine Wilderness and I will accept your submission. Otherwise, the Divine Wilderness will wait for the revenge of the 4 sects of Firmament Master. After a discussion with Master Firmament, Master Zhu Zhao, the Shadow-bearing Sword Master, Xingyi Sword Master, Rainbow Sword Master, and so on, Qing Su stated his conditions. The people of the Divine Wilderness were allowed to maintain their primal chaos level, their own wealth, and their divine weapons. However, the Divine Wilderness reserve of Taoist rhymes had to be handed over. Hand over our Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. Upon hearing Tsing Hui's words, Supreme God Ancient Desolation revealed a troubled expression. However, before he could open his mouth, Tsing Hui had already waved his hand. He did not give him any leeway as he said, there is no room for discussion on this matter. Not a single bit of the Divine Wilderness's Tao ripples can be left behind. When Supreme God Ancient Desolation heard Tsing Hui's words, even though he was prepared to pay a huge price when he came to surrender, he still felt his heart ache when he had to hand over all of the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. However, compared to being captured by Tsing Hui and being stripped of all of his Taoist rhymes, divine weapons, and even primal chaos level, it was obviously more acceptable to hand over all of the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. After all, the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes did not belong to any one person. Even if the loss was huge, it would be shared equally by everyone. Thinking of this, Supreme God Ancient Desolation gritted his teeth and agreed. We will do as Sword Venerable Tsing Hui says. We are willing to hand over all of our Taoist rhymes to show our sincerity. Very well. Tsing Hui smiled faintly and agreed. According to the information I received, the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes 10 years ago was 1,600. I hope that the number of Tao rhymes handed over by the Divine Wilderness will not be less than this number. Supreme God Ancient Desolation's face suddenly darkened. The number that Tsing Hui said was almost exactly the same as the Divine Wilderness reserve Tao rhymes. He did not know who leaked this secret, so he could not even take a little of the reserve Tao rhymes for his own use. In 3 days, Supreme God Ancient Desolation should be able to gather all of these Tao rhymes, right? After all, we are still waiting 3 days to deal with the remnants of the heavenly Tao. Tsing Hui said. As for why 3 days later, Supreme God Ancient Desolation understood that it was not because Tsing Hui wanted to wait 3 days for the transformation technique to cool down, but because it was to see the divine wilderness attitude. If the divine wilderness dared to say no, they would not be dealing with the remnants of the heavenly Tao in 3 days, but directly invading the divine wilderness and completely removing the last nail. Supreme God Ancient Desolation, who understood this, did not hesitate to agree. Yes. That's good. At this moment, Venerable Firmament spoke. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, our divine wilderness has been in chaos for so long, and the Chaos Temple has always been without a master. As a result, the resources in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion of the Sons of Chaos above rank 30 have been monopolized by the surrounding large worlds, which has seriously affected the overall development of our divine wilderness. As a result, even though our divine wilderness has an extremely rich Tao rhyme production, we can only be exploited by the surrounding large worlds, using extremely high prices to buy cheap cultivation resources from their worlds. At this point, he paused for a moment. And since 10,000 years ago, the production of many Tao rhymes in our divine wilderness has gradually decreased. Although the data obtained 10,000 years ago shows that our divine wilderness annual production of Tao rhymes is still around 15,000, if there are any forces that can complete the relevant statistics, they will find that the annual production of Tao rhymes in the divine wilderness has fallen below 10,000. Therefore, the situation of using sky-high prices to buy cheap cultivation resources cannot continue. In my opinion, we might as well call for all the Sons of Chaos to convene a Chaos Assembly in a year's time to discuss the matter of electing the Master of the Chaos Temple and completely break the resource blockade of our divine wilderness by the surrounding large worlds. Discuss the matter of electing the Master of the Chaos Temple. Hearing the words of the Firmament Master, the Supreme God Ancient Desolation and the rest of the people from the Divine Desolate region were slightly startled. They hesitated for a moment, but since the situation was stronger than them, they could only agree, the Firmament Master is right. Our Divine Desolate region should elect a person who everyone supports to be the Master of the Chaos Divine Palace and help our Divine Desolate region break the seal formed by the surrounding great worlds. Hierarch Vast Sea also echoed, in fact, our divine wilderness has long had the idea of unifying the divine wilderness and wanted to use the people of the divine wilderness to establish the Master of the Chaos Temple. Unfortunately, the heavenly Tao and the Eternals have been obstructing us in every possible way, causing us to have no progress. But now that the heavenly Tao and the Eternals have been annihilated by Sword Honorable Tsing Hui, without the obstruction of these two forces and with the unparalleled strength displayed by Sword Honorable Tsing Hui, unifying the divine wilderness and electing the Master of the Chaos Temple will not be difficult. When the time comes, the hierarchy of the Sons of Chaos in our divine wilderness will definitely welcome unprecedented rapid development under the leadership of Sword Honorable Tsing Hui. Hierarch Ancient Desolation and Hierarch Vast Sea, the two outsiders, were already in such a state. Naturally, True God Suffering, True God One, and Sword Honorable Long Rainbow, who were members of the Four-Sect Alliance, agreed wholeheartedly. The birth of a new Master of the Chaos Temple was not a bad thing for the divine wilderness, especially for the people of the four sects of the Heaven's Dome realm. After all, based on the current situation of the divine wilderness, the person who could become the Master of the Chaos Temple was none other than Sword Honorable Tsing Hui. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui himself was a member of the Four-Sect Alliance. If he became the Master of the Chaos Temple, the status of the people of the Four-Sect Alliance would also rise. Since no one has any objections, why don't we make a trip to other places and spread the news, asking these people to gather in the Sky Dome realm within a year to discuss the matter of electing Sword Honorable Tsing Hui as the Master of the Chaos Temple. During this time, I will also open up a portion of the Sky Dome realm's authority, allowing anyone to enter and exit the Sky Dome realm. Hierarch Firmament said. We will make the arrangements now. Our sword Shadow has some relations with the Crimson Wings. I will go and inform them. I will go to the people of the Sun Moon Divine Court. Hierarch Firmament's words immediately received a response from everyone present. As for Tsing Hui, he looked on and did not stop them. Although the master of the Chaos Temple could not control the life and death of the sons of chaos within his range, he would have a great advantage. For example, only the master of the Chaos Temple could put some items into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to sell. Another example was that the master of the Chaos Temple could adjust the range of the Chaos Temple. Although the adjustment was not large, it could sometimes produce unexpected effects. There were also various effects of different sizes. With these effects, the Heaven's Dome realm would have a unique advantage if it wanted to develop into the number one chaos organization in the Divine Wilderness. Hierarch Ancient Desolation, your Divine Wilderness has been passed down for 10,000 years. You must have kept many books from the Divine Wilderness glorious era. These books are useful to me, so I hope that Hierarch Ancient Desolation will not be stingy with them. After the matter was settled, Tsing Hui made another request. Hierarch Ancient Desolation naturally did not dare to reject such a small request. He quickly said, since Sword Honorable Tsing Hui needs these books, I will get someone to prepare them. I will personally send them to Sword Honorable Tsing Hui's palace in a few days. All right. In that case, I will have to trouble Hierarch Ancient Desolation. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui, you are too polite. Hierarch Ancient Desolation and Tsing Hui exchanged some pleasantries before leaving worriedly. Next, they had to think of a way to gather the 1,600 Taoist rhymes as soon as possible. Only then could they preserve the Divine Wilderness inheritance in this world. After the people of the Divine Wilderness left, True God Suffering, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Xingyi, and the others dispersed, Tsing Hui went to Heaven's Dome Master again. Master, I strongly support your decision to elect the Master of the Chaos Temple. However, I have some objections to the choice of the Master of the Chaos Temple. Heaven's Dome Master seemed to understand something after hearing Tsing Hui's words. He was stunned. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui. You mean you are not willing to become the Master of the Chaos Temple? That's right. Tsing Hui nodded. To be honest, I have something important to do. In order to complete this, I need to break through to the supreme realm of world creation with one thought in 12 years. Even if I can't reach world creation with one thought, I need to reach the realm of traversing. The current environment of the Divine Wilderness is obviously not enough for me to make consecutive breakthroughs in such a short period of time. Hence, I can only head to the True Sun Great World and try my luck there. If I leave the Divine Wilderness, my identity as the Master of the Chaos Temple will be useless. Hence, I will have to ask Heaven's Dome Master to choose someone else to be the Master of the Chaos Temple. Chapter 762. Choose someone else. This, the Firmament Master hesitated for a moment. Apart from you, who else in the alliance of our four sects can convince everyone to be the Master of the Chaos Temple? It can only be Zhu Zhao Venerable. Qing Su said, Venerable Zhu Zhao is close to breaking through to the Void Shatterer realm, and with his accumulation, it won't be difficult for him to crush the Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness once he reaches the Void Shatterer realm. Coupled with the existence of the Grand Essence, he'll definitely reach the Divine True Body realm before the Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness in the future. By then, he'll be able to oversee the entire situation. Moreover, Tsing Hui took out the last originator. Master, if you refine this originator, you'll be able to reach the Void Transformation realm soon, right? With the help of the World Core, it'll only take you a few years to reach the Void Shattering realm. By then, we'll have 2 Void Shattering realm experts. Even Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness won't be able to do anything. The originator. Firmament Master took a deep breath when he saw the originator that Tsing Hui took out. His body trembled slightly. This was a supreme treasure that even experts who could create a world with a single thought would think of all sorts of ways to snatch it away. They would even go as far as to break their skulls. But now, it was right in front of him. Having obtained the originator, his future achievements would definitely be limitless. He might even have a sliver of hope to see through the mysteries of the 6 divine realms and step into the realm of primal chaos. Tsing Hui, I don't have enough carrier items now. But don't worry, I'll try my best to make up for all the carrier items you need from the originator. Firmament Master promised solemnly. That's not necessary. I have a lot of carrier items with me now. Tsing Hui shook his head. In the end, he seemed to have thought of something and said, if you really feel guilty, help me take care of the eastern wilderness. Guru Tsangqiong immediately understood Tsing Hui's intentions. He solemnly said, you can be rest assured that as long as I, Tsangqiong, am alive, I will not allow any harm to befall the eastern wasteland. Furthermore, I will also think of ways to support the members of your Zhuo clan. The Zhuo family. Let's see how talented they are. If they are talented, we can nurture them. If they are not, we can just let them spend the rest of their lives in the eastern wilderness. There is no need to lure them into the huge whirlpool that is Tianhuan. Tsing Hui said after pondering for a while. As for the Zhuo family, the only ones he had any feelings for were Zhuo Yunqing and Nailan Fei. However, Nailan Fei's lifelong wish was to become the ruler of the eastern wilderness. If she was willing to come to the eastern wilderness, he would entrust the Firmament Master to take care of her. If she was unwilling to come, he would let her do whatever she wanted in the eastern wilderness. It was the same for Zhuo Yunqing. If they chose to wander the eastern wilderness, Tsing Hui would support them. If they were unwilling to come to the eastern wilderness, he would not force them. Well, get ready. Let's go to the Heavenly Tao. Our temporary residence is still inferior to the Heavenly Tao. Once we move there, we can truly be said to be free of worries. Tsing Hui said. Guru Tsangqiong nodded with a smile. The Heavenly Tao's protective mountain formation has reached the 15th level. If it is guarded by a acoustic shattering expert, even a divine true body will not be able to break it in a short time. It is more than enough to suppress the overall situation of the divine wilderness. I will make the arrangements. Tsing Hui nodded. Guru Tsangqiong was very efficient. On the 3rd day, Guru Tsangqiong, Guru Zhuzhao, Guru Tsangqiong, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, as well as Anisrava Holy Man who had surrendered to Guru Tsangqiong, set off at the same time toward the Heavenly Tao and began the battle to destroy the Heavenly Tao. However, when the group of people arrived at the Heavenly Tao, intending to borrow the hands of Anisrava Holy Man and Tsing Hui to break the protective mountain formation of the Heavenly Tao and tear it apart, they were shocked to find that the upper echelons of the Heavenly Tao had all fled. From the divine true body to the Tao masters and perfected cultivators, no one knew where they had gone. Only a few Jindan realm elders and deacons remained in the Heavenly Tao without knowing the truth. Even though the protective mountain formation of the Heavenly Tao was incomparably powerful, the cultivator in charge of the formation had fallen to the Jindan realm. In addition, Tsing Hui also had Anisrava Holy Man, a 13th level formation master who was originally responsible for the maintenance of the formation. In less than half an incense stick of time, the mountain gate of the Heavenly Tao had been blasted open. The people of the 4 sects of Guru Tsangqiong swarmed in and quickly occupied the Heavenly Tao. They all fled very quickly. Master Tsang Zhen, who was traveling with Tsing Hui, snorted coldly. Tsing Hui's gaze was constantly sizing up the Heavenly Tao. After a moment, he saw Master Zhu Zhao leap out from the Heavenly Tao with a somewhat gloomy expression. Seeing Master Zhu Zhao, Yulan, who knew what he had just done, hurriedly went forward and asked, Master, did you find the broken sword? Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. This traitor fled very quickly, and now there is no trace of him. Master, don't worry. Now, our 4-sect alliance is like the sun in the sky in the divine wilderness world. Our overlord status has completely revealed itself. When the time comes, we just need to release a message and reward anyone who provides clues about the broken sword. Soon, countless people, even powerful figures in divine true bodies, will think of ways to find the broken sword for us. True God Suffering, who had come along with the large group, said with a smile. Master Zhu Zhao nodded. This was the only method they could use. Let him live for a while longer. Although he is alive, he will definitely be in fear for a period of time. He will not dare to trust anyone around him. Isn't this torture his punishment for betraying us? Tsing Hui also comforted him. Master Zhu Zhao's mood improved a lot when he heard this. The battle of the heavenly Tao came to an end with a strong start and a weak finish. However, this was also within the expectations of Tsing Hui and the others. After all, the strongest heavenly Tao, Chaos Tao Master, had fled into the endless void. The second strongest person, Anusrava Tao Master, had surrendered to heaven. The remaining divine true bodies had either died, fled, or surrendered. They had lost the courage to be enemies with the four sects of heaven. It was not strange that the four sects could easily defeat the heavenly Tao. Next, we have to build up. Master Tianqiong said. That's right. The reason why we didn't dare to stay in Heaven Wasteland back then was because we were worried that one day someone would target our foundation and wipe us out in one fell swoop. Now that we have this formation left behind by the heavenly way, unless a terrifying existence who has cultivated a divine true body personally takes action, we can definitely rest easy. Yes, the heavenly Tao's base is indeed the best in the divine wilderness. This is also the reason why the heavenly Tao has dared to expand unscrupulously over the years. But now it has benefited us. The Rainbow Sword Master nodded in agreement. Tsing Hui looked at Master Tianqiong, the Shadow-bearing Sword Master, and the Rainbow Sword Master, who were all very interested in the heavenly Tao's base, as well as True God Suffering, who also wanted to speak. He was slightly moved. In fact, it is not convenient for the four sects of heaven to be called the four sects. Why don't we merge the four sects into one and form an absolute overlord force that can dominate the entire divine wilderness? The foundation of the new sect can be built on the land that we are currently standing on. Merge the four sects into one. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, the representatives of the four great forces were stunned and they instinctively wanted to reject. However, at that moment, Tsing Hui's position in everyone's hearts was extremely high. Even though they were unwilling to break the sect's inheritance, they had no choice but to consider his words carefully. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Tsing Hui quickly said, merging the four sects into one doesn't mean that everyone's inheritance will be broken. Just like how there might be a few mountains in a sect, the force formed by merging the four sects into one can also retain each sect's unique cultivation path. It won't affect everyone's inheritance at all. It is just a unified plan, so that when there are any major matters, the four sects will have to discuss it and it will affect the efficiency of the operation. Maintaining the inheritance of each sect, just like the sect's mountain, is equivalent to having different cultivation paths in one sect. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, everyone instantly considered carefully. After weighing the pros and cons, they suddenly realized that Tsing Hui's words were indeed very feasible. The four sects alliance that merged into one was obviously much more efficient than the four sects alliance that did things on their own. As for the price that they had to pay, it was nothing more than their own interests and status being affected. However, if they were to consider from the long-term perspective of the divine wilderness, their interests and status would be reduced in name, but in reality, it would be greatly increased. Especially since the request was made by Sword Honorable Tsing Hui. Currently, Sword Honorable Tsing Hui relied on the transformation skill to possess the invincible power to suppress the entire divine wilderness. Even if he really wanted to forcefully merge the four sects into one, no one could stop him. Rather than that, they might as well go with the flow. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui is right. The four sects alliance is indeed beneficial to our development. As long as we can ensure the inheritance of our sects, we agree to the four sects alliance. At that moment, Sword Master Long Rainbow and True God Suffering took the lead to express their opinions. As for Sword Master Xingyi, he said, I will discuss it with the other sword masters. There shouldn't be any problems. After all, the four-sex alliance is indeed beneficial to the four-sex alliance. Sword Honorable Tsing Hui is one of the highest leaders of our Heaven's Vault sect. We will naturally support his proposal unconditionally. Firmament Master, who had recently obtained the Great Originator, naturally gave his full support to Tsing Hui. That's good. Tsing Hui smiled. Everyone, go and make your preparations. Also, discuss with Firmament Master and Zhu Zhao Master about the name and position of our new sex alliance. We can slowly discuss it and strive to come up with a process that will satisfy all of us. Soon, the upper echelons of the four-sex alliance returned to their respective sex alliance. After 3 days, they returned to the Heavenly Law encampment and began to discuss the details of the new sex alliance. During this period, the Glorious Era sect, which had long wanted to join the four-sex alliance, took the initiative to join the alliance after hearing the news. As a result, the number of members in the alliance increased from 4-sex alliance to 5-sex alliance. Half a month later, the alliance of 5-sex alliance was officially established. The Hunyuan sword sect, which was named after the Hunyuan Chamber of Commerce established by Tsing Hui, was officially established. The Hunyuan sword sect currently had a Grand Elder, whose position was above everyone else. After the Grand Elder was the Sect Master, the Peak Masters of the various peaks, and the Elder Compound. After the Sect Master, the Elder Compound, and the Peak Masters of the various peaks were the positions of disciples and deacons. Currently, there was only one Grand Elder in the Hunyuan sword sect. He was known as the strongest person in the Divine Wilderness, Sword Honorable Tsing Hui, who possessed the strongest battle strength. The Sect Master's position was held by Firmament Master. The Elder Compound had Zhu Zhao Master as the Great Elder. The Rainbow Sword Master, True God Suffering, True God One, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, and the others were among them. The remaining Peak Masters were naturally held by Soothing Sound Sword Sage and the other leaders of their respective sects. After the Hunyuan sword sect was established and announced to the world, it immediately caused an uproar in the Divine Wilderness. Everyone understood that the moment the Hunyuan sword sect was established, the era of the Hunyuan sword sect in the Divine Wilderness had officially arrived. Chapter 763. Tsing Hui. On the mountain that belonged to the Great Elder of Qing Su, Sword Master Bai Heng arrived at his residence under the accompaniment of the elders, Sword Master Changhong and Sword Saint Caressing. Qing Su was slightly surprised at first when she saw Bai Shuaing, who seemed to have emerged from seclusion. Afterwards, she sensed the change in her presence very soon, so she immediately stood up with a smile. You've actually reached the void transformation realm so quickly. Congratulations, congratulations. You took much less time to reach the void transformation realm than esteemed Master Zhu Zhao. It's all thanks to the supreme treasure you gave me, Qing Su, said Qing Su. Bai Shuaing smiled. Beside Bai Shuaing, the Rainbow Sword Sect's master came forward and bowed towards Qing Su seriously. Great Elder, we've already asked Master Firmament about this. Master Firmament spent 1,500 charms to purchase this item from you. Our Rainbow Sword Sect, our Rainbow Peak is truly unable to gather an item with 1,500 charms. We've only managed to gather an item with 1,283 charms after exhausting all of the sect's resources. Please accept it for now, Great Elder Qing Su. We'll definitely deliver the remaining 217 items to you in the next few years. As he spoke, Sword Master Chang Hong waved his hand. Tsing Hui's room was instantly filled with Dao ripples. Tsing Hui glanced at Bai Shuaing and then at Sword Master Chang Hong. He shook his head and said, there's no need for that. We're all part of the same sect now. Giving this item to Bai Shuaing isn't. Before Qing Su could finish, the Sword Master of Long Rainbow, who knew what he wanted to say, shook his head seriously. That's that. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. We're already extremely grateful that the great elder of Qing Su has bestowed such a precious treasure to Shuaing. How can we ask the great elder to pay for an item that carries the weight yourself? My Baihong Peak is unable to do such a thing. Therefore, please accept these treasures no matter what. Bai Shuaing also said, Tsing Hui, just accept it. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I won't be able to maintain a pure state of mind. When Tsing Hui heard this, he did not insist. Naturally, the more things that could carry the Tao, the better. If that's the case, I'll accept your offer. I'll accept these treasures. Tsing Hui said. Swordmaster Baiheng, Swordmaster Long Rainbow, and the Soothing Swordmaster had specially come for this. After Tsing Hui accepted the items, they directly left. Instead, Swordmaster Baiheng discussed the Sword of Eclipse with Tsing Hui again, as well as the various changes of the fourth sword, the Sword of Black Sunday. Only after 10 days did he leave reluctantly. After Swordmaster Baiheng left, Tsing Hui did not casually go out. He focused all his energy on cultivating in seclusion. Although he had already learned the truth about the teleportation array from the Eternal Being and had secretly grasped the location of the teleportation array, the Reverend Zhuzhao had yet to break through to the void-shattering realm and the election of the Temple Master had yet to be completed. Once he left the divine wilderness world, who knew what kind of storm the supreme god of the ancient wilderness, who was the only one at the void-shattering realm, would cause. Therefore, even if he wanted to leave, he would have to wait for the Chaos Temple Master's election and for esteemed Zhuzhao to break through to the void-shattering realm. Only then would the newly established Origin Sword sect be able to stabilize the situation in the divine wilderness world and sit firmly on the throne of the Chaos Temple Master and the divine wilderness world's #1 sect. Glancing at the thousands of Tao auras on his body, Tsing Hui took a deep breath. His gaze turned and fell on the many supreme immortal techniques that he had learned in the Fortune mainland. There is only one world that I can go to at the moment, and that is the true Sun Great World, which represents the force behind the Eternal Being. The transmission array that leads to the true Sun Great World from the Eternal Being is related to whether the force behind the true Sun Great World can invade the divine wilderness and occupy the vast amount of resources in the divine wilderness world. They will definitely send top experts to guard the transmission array. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a world creation expert personally overseeing the transmission array. In other words, if I want to go to the true Sun Great World, I first have to break through the blockade of a world creation expert. It was easy for him to break through the blockade of an expert with a single thought. All he needed was a teleportation technique. He even had the stasis technique. If one teleportation technique was not enough, he could use 2 teleportation techniques. If he was caught off guard, he did not believe that those experts with a single thought would be able to lock him down. The key was, after the transmission technique, he would hide. Then, to me, the most important thing is to cultivate the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance, to the perfection realm. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui directly injected 1,000 Taoist rhymes into the Fortune Jade, causing it to immediately enter an activated state. The activated Fortune Jade immediately revealed infinite mysteries. Under the influence of these mysterious powers, Tsing Hui's mind was filled with the details of the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance. It was as if dusty memories were gradually awakening in his mind. The speed of his comprehension and cultivation was far beyond his imagination. Not long after, he had completely comprehended this immortal technique and pushed it to the peak of the greater mastery realm. Then, before the activated state of the Fortune Jade disappeared, he entered the perfection realm. When this supreme immortal technique was cultivated to the perfection realm, he felt that his life aura had become extremely mysterious. It was extremely profound. His entire body was clearly integrated into the void, but he was able to separate himself from the many laws in the void, making it difficult for others to capture and deduce. Outside of the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. This was the final form of this supreme immortal technique. He did not know if he could be considered outside of the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements, but he had a vague feeling that if he wanted to hide, all traces of him would be erased. Unless it was a great existence who was so powerful that it could affect the operation of the laws of all things in the world, no other living being could deduce anything about him. Moreover, this immortal technique seems to be able to be further deduced. Perfection realm should not be the final stage. There should be a supreme realm above it, a realm that can be said to be returning to one's original state. But deducing this realm is clearly beyond the limits of the Fortune Jade's ability, or rather, it's beyond the limits of the incomplete Fortune Jade's ability. Qing Su sensed the profoundness of the supreme immortal technique, shadowless stance, as well as the unfathomable, profound, and indescribable mysterious state of the supreme immortal technique after reaching perfection. He had a premonition that if he wanted to forcefully use the incomplete Fortune Jade to deduce this supreme immortal technique, it would not be impossible, but the final consumption would be extremely shocking. Considering that the effect of the supreme immortal technique was so powerful that it could almost conceal him from the senses of all the experts he had come into contact with, he did not waste any more Tao rhymes on this immortal technique. Instead, he turned to another goal, reverse predicting the future. Reverse predicting the future. This was a supreme immortal technique that originated from one of the 6 supreme sects of the Fortune continent, the Grand Beginning sect. When this immortal technique was cultivated to the minor completion stage, it had the effect of predicting good and bad fortune. When it was cultivated to the perfection realm, it could vaguely sense bits and pieces of the long river of time. When it was cultivated to the perfection realm, it could even briefly glimpse the flow of the long river of time. However, compared to other supreme immortal techniques, the difficulty of cultivating this supreme immortal technique was not just a little bit higher. Even the I Chi turning 3 pure ones an instant blooming flower, which were known as the most difficult immortal techniques to cultivate, were far from being as difficult as reverse predicting the future. Even though the Grand Beginning sect had obtained this immortal technique, after thousands of years, only one person had cultivated it to the minor completion realm. As for the perfection realm, it was unprecedented. If Tsing Hui wanted to go to the true Sun Great World, it would be very dangerous. If he could obtain this supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future, it would be able to greatly increase his safety. I'd like to see how difficult this supreme immortal technique, which is known as the most difficult to cultivate in the entire Fortune continent, is. Tsing Hui's gaze focused on this supreme immortal technique, and the Fortune Divine Jade status was fully activated. All kinds of mysterious colors continuously flowed out from the Fortune Divine Jade, filling his spiritual world, causing a silent change to occur in his spiritual world, as if he was gradually coming into contact with a special existence. However, this change only lasted for a short while before it came to an abrupt end. When Tsing Hui came back to his senses, he took a closer look and immediately noticed that the first activation effect of the Fortune Divine Jade had actually passed. At this time, he had only cultivated the supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future, to the minor completion realm. The first activation effect of the Fortune Divine Jade, other than helping me cultivate the supreme immortal technique to the perfection realm, is actually exhausted just like that? Is it because the supreme immortal technique, consumes too much energy to cultivate, or reverse predicting the future consumes too much energy? Tsing Hui took a deep breath, and in the next moment, his gaze once again focused on the Fortune Divine Jade. In any case, the Fortune Divine Jade contained a lot of Tao aura, so there was no need to be polite. With this thought, the Fortune Divine Jade was activated once again. With the second activation of the Fortune Divine Jade, the Supreme Immortal Technique, reverse predicting the future, advanced once again. As Tsing Hui's spiritual world transformed, he could vaguely sense a vast flowing river that could not be described with words. When he focused his mind and carefully looked at the long river, he could vaguely see the tip of the iceberg of fragmented images. Reverse predicting the future, perfection. Continue. Tsing Hui carefully sensed the fragmented images that were dissipating. From these images, he could vaguely determine that they were his various experiences when he was still in the divine wilderness world, mainly regarding the election of the deity's Templar Master. Without stopping, he once again began to deduce the supreme immortal technique, reverse predicting the future. During the process of deduction, Tsing-Hui vaguely felt that he was getting closer and closer to the vast river, and the images he sensed gradually became clearer and more coherent. However, before these images could completely stabilize, the cultivation state came to an abrupt end. This somewhat familiar change shocked Tsing-Hui. Could it be, as he focused his mind to sense, the fortune divine jade actually fell silent again? The activated state brought about by 1,000 Tao auras is actually not enough to fully deduce the minor completion realm of reverse predicting the future. This terrifying consumption made Tsing-Hui inwardly gasp. After pondering for a while, Tsing-Hui finally made up his mind again. Isn't it just Tao auras? I have plenty of them. Again. Chapter 764. An unknown amount of time passed. As the endless, long river, in Tsing-Hui's spiritual sense suddenly became clear, the deduction of the future reached perfection. Although the fortune jade could still deduce the supreme immortal technique, allowing him to see the direction of the long river completely, unlike now where he could only see small fragments, the consumption rate of the Tao aura in the fortune jade would inevitably increase by several times, 10 times, 10 times, or even dozens of times. Even if he exhausted the remaining 3,000 to 4,000 Tao aura, he might not be able to complete the deduction of the next realm of the supreme immortal technique. Rather than that, it would not be too late to deduce it after the fortune jade was completely restored. I've completed the deduction of shadowless stance and reverse future and cultivated them to perfection. Next. Casting beans into soldiers and 1 qi into 3 pure ones. If I still have enough Tao aura reserves, I might as well cultivate the aura examination technique to perfection. After making some arrangements, Tsing-Hui went into seclusion again. Time passed quietly in seclusion. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. In the 8th month of Tsing-Hui's seclusion, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had long reached the critical point of breaking through, finally had some enlightenment. With the help of the power of the source, he broke through to the vacuum-shattering realm in one go. He had the foundation of a great divine ability and his attacks were fiercer than ordinary cultivators. Now that he had broken through to the vacuum-shattering realm, his divine ability was strengthened by the power of space. Not only did his speed and power have a metamorphosis. Although he was almost a year slower than Divine Venerable Gu Huang's breakthrough, in terms of battle strength, he was above Divine Venerable Gu Huang and became the second strongest person in the Divine Wilderness world, second only to Tsing-Hui. With esteemed Zhu Zhao in charge, Tsing-Hui was relieved. After casting beans into soldiers, 1 qi into 3 pure ones, an aura examination technique, he once again comprehended the 6th supreme immortal technique, blossoming instant. Time flew by. The day of the Hunyuan sword sect's election for the master of the Chaos Temple finally arrived. On this day, practically all the sons of chaos in the divine wilderness had gathered to participate in this unprecedented event. As Tsing-Hui planned to leave the divine wilderness world and was unwilling to become the master of the primal chaos temple in the divine wilderness world, after an internal discussion within the Hunyuan sword sect, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had the highest cultivation and was at the primal chaos level, became the new master of the primal chaos temple. Although the other sons of primal chaos in the divine wilderness had some complaints about this, no one dared to say anything in the face of the Hunyuan sword sect's mighty and nearly unbeatable momentum. The current Hunyuan sword sect could be considered the #1 power in the divine wilderness, not only in the real world, but also in the chaos temple. With Tsing-Hui, who was suspected to be at the 60th level of the Son of Chaos, and esteemed Zhu Zhao, who was at the 44th level of the Son of Chaos, no power would be able to resist in a war against the primal chaos. Even the Grand Supreme, the Crimson Wings, the Sun Moon Divine Court, and other primal chaos organizations were no exception. In the face of the Hunyuan sword sect's policy of annihilation if they did not agree with it, many primal chaos organizations naturally did not dare to have any dissatisfaction with the master of the chaos temple elected by the Hunyuan sword sect. With the opening of the rear hall, which was exclusive to the Master of the Chaos Temple, the Primal Chaos Temple in the Divine Wilderness world immediately bid farewell to the era of being without a master. Quick, esteemed Zhu Zhao, immediately activate the new authority of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Let us see what kind of treasures will be born in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion after the new authority. As esteemed Zhu Zhao sat on the throne of the Master of the Chaos Temple, esteemed Zhongzhen could not wait to urge him. The Master of the Primal Chaos Temple can radiate the power of the Primal Chaos Temple into the spatial mezzanine. Another advantage is that he can completely break the resource blockade of our Divine Wilderness world by the dozen or so great worlds around us. With the extremely rich accumulation and foundation of our Divine Wilderness world, once the blockade is broken, the Divine Wilderness will definitely usher in a period of explosive growth. Esteemed Tianxiong also had a faint smile on his face. Although a series of experts might be born after the blockade of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the Divine Wilderness world was broken, he believed that as long as he and esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had the originator, were in power, their advantage would continue to be maintained. After all, the originator was a supreme treasure that even existences at the level of world creation with a thought would fight to the death for. Such a supreme treasure would definitely not appear in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion of a rank 30 or rank 45 Son of Chaos. Since everyone has requested it, then, esteemed Zhu Zhao met everyone's expectant gaze and immediately waved his hand. Instantly, circles of invisible ripples spread out with the Primal Chaos Temple as the center. In an instant, it disappeared from everyone's senses and spread out in the Primal Chaos space at an extremely fast speed. It had spread out tens of millions of light years in an instant. As the invisible ripples spread, everyone simultaneously felt that the daily consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had increased. From the original 1 Daoist rhyme, it had increased to 2 Daoist rhymes. Correspondingly, many items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had also undergone a round of rapid updates. When they saw the various supreme treasures in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion that had been updated, the rank 30 Son of Chaos present, as well as the Son of Chaos who had temporarily raised his Chaos level to rank 30, started breathing rapidly at the same time. Waves of uncontrollable exclamations came from their mouths at the same time. Oh my god, the Qilin Divine Beast's cub only costs 43 Daoist rhymes. Samsara Crystal, this is the legendary Samsara Crystal. It can allow one to experience a lifetime of reincarnation in the crystal, tempering one's temperament and soul. For thousands of years, the Samsara Crystal has appeared less than 3 times, and each time, it costs more than 1,000 Daoist rhymes. But here, it only costs 90 Daoist rhymes. Innate Divine Rhymes. Innate Divine Rhymes. I saw the innate divinity. Moreover, it's the innate divinity of the divine beast Kuanpeng, which is most suitable for cultivators to break through to the domain realm. The price is 80. It only costs 80. How is this possible? The comprehensive price-performance ratio of the various items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion is 10 times higher than during the previous lockdown period. What are you waiting for? Buy all of them. Oh my god, I don't have enough Daoist rhymes. I just used 280 Daoist rhymes to buy an illusion stone 2 years ago. What a waste, what a waste. I just heard from the one true god that his Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion has illusion stones for sale. 50 Daoist rhymes can buy 2 of them. All sorts of exclamations and screams came from the crowd. For a moment, the cultivators who had stored up a large number of Daoist rhymes were overjoyed. On the other hand, those who didn't had Daoist rhymes with pain and hatred. They were envious when they saw the numerous supreme treasures that had been refreshed in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Putting aside the fact that the supreme treasures were cheap, the key was that many of the items were precious items that couldn't be bought with Daoist rhymes previously. For example, the innate divinity, reincarnation crystal, which was effective on anyone and could directly increase one's power. When the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion refreshed, Tsing Hui glanced at his own Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. It was a pity, his Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion didn't change much as compared to before. It seemed that at his level, the effect of the ordinary Primal Chaos Temple didn't affect the operation of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Even the time it took for the items to be refreshed in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had been greatly extended. However, one thing was for sure. Every time an item was refreshed, it would definitely bring supreme treasures that would make the giants in Primal Chaos Realm break their heads. From the looks of it, after going to True Sun Great World and coming into contact with other great worlds, the most important thing I need to do is to supplement my knowledge as soon as possible and understand the characteristics of those top treasures of heaven and earth. Otherwise, even if I have the best Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, I won't be able to identify the many treasures inside and will miss them time and time again. Xing Hui thought to himself. At this moment, he seemed to have noticed something and suddenly glanced at esteemed Master Tsangzhen. Innate divinity, esteemed Master Tsangzhen muttered with a trace of helplessness in his eyes. Esteemed Master, what's wrong? Xing Hui stepped forward and asked. Esteemed Master Tsangzhen glanced at Xing Hui, gritted his teeth, and straightforwardly stated his request. Xing Hui, I know that you must have a lot of Taoist items on you. Can you lend me some? I don't need too many, 60 will do. Esteemed Master, if you need Taoist rhymes, just come to me and get them. Xing Hui agreed without hesitation. In the end, he asked curiously, Esteemed Master, are you going to buy innate divinity to break through to the divine realm? I remember that you've stored a lot of Taoist rhymes during this time. Although Tsang Qiong borrowed most of the Taoist rhymes from me a few years ago, he and Zhu Zhao have more or less returned some over the years. Although I don't have much Taoist rhymes, I still have more than 180. It's more than enough to buy one set of innate divine rhymes. However, this time, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion refreshed not just one set of innate divine rhymes, but 3 sets. The total is 240 Taoist rhymes. 3 innate divinities. Xing Hui's eyes were filled with joy and surprise. 3 innate divinities. With these 3 innate divinities, not only will you be able to break through to the divine realm in a short period of time, you'll even be able to take a solid step forward in the divine realm. If you do this 1 or 2 more times, it won't be difficult for you to reach the peak of the Grand Dominion realm. Once that's done, you'll be able to easily break through to the profound void realm with the accumulation you've accumulated over the years and the wonders of the world core, right? Master Tsangzhen nodded heavily. When I break through to the Grand Dominion realm, give me another 4 or 5 innate divinities, and I'll definitely be able to evolve my domain to the extreme. Let's go. There's no time to lose. I'll transfer the Tao-carrying artifacts to you now. The sooner you get them, the sooner you can buy the innate divinities and use them to break through to the divine realm. Xing Hui smiled as he spoke. At the same time, his true body was already rushing toward Master Tsangzhen's courtyard. Before long, Xing Hui appeared outside Master Tsangzhen's courtyard. When Master Tsangzhen learned that Xing Hui was about to arrive, he was already waiting in the courtyard. Xing Hui smiled inwardly when he saw Master Tsangzhen's bashful expression. With a wave of his hand, a large number of Tao-carrying artifacts were transported out of the space. Venerable Master Tsangzhen stepped forward and eagerly collected the Tao vessels. However, when he heard the notification from the Son of Chaos interface, he was slightly taken aback. 400 Tao vessels. 408 divinities. Chapter 765. Xing Hui, just give me 60 Taoist rhymes worth of Taoist rhymes. There's no need for so many. Esteemed Master Tsangzhen quickly said as he looked at the 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items piled up in front of him. Esteemed Master, please accept them. Xing Hui said, as our divine wilderness world breaks through the blockade of the surrounding great worlds, we will definitely have more opportunities to buy innate godly rhymes in the future. If the innate godly rhymes are refreshed but we don't have enough Taoist rhymes, wouldn't we regret it? Moreover, esteemed master should know about my current situation. 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items are nothing to me. Compared to the help you gave me back then, these 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items are not worth mentioning. When esteemed Master Zhangzhen heard Xing Hui's words, he hesitated for a moment before finally agreeing, Xing Hui, thank you very much. After saying that, he said seriously, when I have accumulated enough Taoist rhymes worth of items, I will definitely repay you. Xing Hui smiled and did not refuse. Otherwise, with esteemed Master Zhangzhen's character, he might not be able to use these 400 Taoist rhymes worth of items with ease. After accepting these Taoist rhymes, esteemed Master Zhangzhen looked at Xing Hui with some emotion. Now it seems that the small help I gave you when you first entered the Sky Dome realm was really the best thing I did in my life. If not for that, how could I, Zhangzhen, in the Sky Dome realm, be where I am today? I am also glad that I met esteemed master back then and didn't have any ideas about my chaotic realm. Otherwise, my cultivation path might not be so smooth. Xing Hui said with a smile. Gold will shine wherever it is. Even without us, there will definitely be a place for you in the divine wilderness world. Esteemed Master Zhangzhen couldn't help but laugh when he said this. In fact, what I want to know the most now is whether esteemed Zhu Zhao, who didn't accept you as a disciple because of me, feels embarrassed and regretful every time he sees you. To be honest, at least I regret it. Although we are not master and disciple in name, we are master and disciple in reality. Regardless of whether it is you or Master Zhu Zhao, you have given me many pointers on my path of cultivation. Thus, why should I care about a mere title? When Master Zhangzhen heard this, he nodded in agreement. Alright, I won't disturb your secluded cultivation any longer. I hope that when you come out of seclusion, you'll have entered the divine realm and become a major figure in charge of a region. Thank you for your kind words. Master Zhangzhen said with a smile. Xing Hui nodded and turned to leave. After Qing Su left, he returned to his own mountain. Naturally, he began to prepare to leave for the true sun world. He planned to explore the vaster world and do his best to break through to the level of battle prowess that could create a world with a thought in the next 11 years. While he was preparing, the high-level sons of chaos in the divine wilderness were in an uproar. The seal of the surrounding great worlds on the divine wilderness had been broken, causing the high-level sons of chaos in the divine wilderness to be able to purchase a large number of things from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Moreover, the price of these things was often extremely low, almost 1/10 of the previous price. Under such circumstances, the Almighties and Divine Realm Giants who had obtained a large amount of resources from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion naturally entered secluded cultivation quickly. As a result, for the next half a month, whether it was on the surface of the divine wilderness or in the Chaos Temple, it was calm and peaceful. A silent cultivation frenzy spread throughout the entire divine wilderness. It's about time. After giving out all the necessary instructions, Qing Su prepared to set off as well. However, just as he was about to leave, Bai Shuaying, the master of sword Baihang, once again appeared on Xing Hui's mountain. Xing Hui, are you planning to leave the divine wilderness? Bai Shuaying was not the kind of person who was good at pleasantries. After seeing Xing Hui, she went straight to the point. Xing Hui had only told a few people about this matter to Venerable Master Zhu Zhao and Venerable Master Firmament. When he heard Bai Shuaying mention this matter, he could not help but ask, where did you hear this from? I don't need to hear it. I guessed it from you not being the sect master of the Hunyuan sword sect and the hall master of the Chaos Temple, as well as some other details. After Bai Shuaying finished speaking, she confirmed again, then, my guess is correct. Xing Hui was about to leave the divine wilderness, and there was no need to hide this matter from Bai Shuaying, who was equivalent to a core member of the Hunyuan sword sect. He immediately nodded and said, yes, I do plan to leave the divine wilderness. There is a teleportation array in the Eternal. If I borrow the power of the World Core, I can activate the teleportation array and directly head to the True Sun Great World. I want to go to the True Sun Great World to take a look. On one hand, I want to search for opportunities in that world. On the other hand, I want to think of a way to resolve the crisis that the true Sun Great World might bring to our divine wilderness. Eternal, true Sun Great World. As expected. Bai Shuaing nodded slightly. She had clearly received some information beforehand, so she was not too surprised by Tsing Hui's words. Instead, she asked, "Can you take me with you to the true Sun Great World?" You want to go to the true Sun Great World? Tsing Hui was somewhat surprised. At present, the divine wilderness has already broken through the blockade of resources placed on the Chaos Temple by the dozen or so surrounding worlds. In the following period of time, you shouldn't need to worry about cultivation resources, especially you. You have the origin. As long as you cultivate step by step, you will eventually achieve great things. Why take the risk of going to the true Sun Great World? In truth, I have always believed in one principle. Bai Shuaing raised her head slightly and gazed into the distance through the window. Only after experiencing the wind and rain can one truly understand the joy and preciousness of growth. It's similar to staying in secluded cultivation in the calm environment of the divine wilderness for a long time. This kind of life is not what I want. Tsing Hui looked at Bai Shuaing in front of him. He did not expect her to have such thoughts behind her elegant and calm demeanor. Was she not willing to live a dull life? Have you spoken to Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Ping Light, and the others? It won't be difficult to convince Sword Master Long Rainbow. In the past, the Rainbow Sword Sect needed me because we were facing a huge threat from the Heavenly Tao. They needed my help, but now, the threat from the Heavenly Tao has been removed. Currently, the Primordial Chaos Sword Sect is the #1 sect in the Divine Wilderness. With exalted Zhuzhao presiding over it, there is nothing to worry about. Under such circumstances, if I choose to leave, Sword Master Long Rainbow will not stop me. Sword Master Long Rainbow will not interfere. Tsing Hui looked at Bai Shuaing and fell silent for a moment. Finally, he said, "You don't need to rush to make a decision. I plan to go to the Eternal World in 3 days. During this time, you might as well think about it and give me an answer in 3 days. I've thought about it very clearly." Bai Shuaing stood up and expressed her attitude. However, she did not stubbornly insist. "I'll come back in 3 days." Tsing Hui nodded. Bai Shuaing turned and left. Not long after Bai Shuaing left, 2 more people came to visit the mountain. These 2 people were the Shadow-bearing Sword Master and Xingyi Sword Master of Sword Shadow. Sword Sovereign Tsing Hui. Seeing Tsing Hui, the 2 of them did not dare to be as casual as Bai Shuaing. Instead, they bowed solemnly. Then, Sword Master Xingyi said, "Sword Sovereign, do you plan to leave the Divine Wilderness Great World in the near future?" "Oh. You also know." Tsing Hui looked at the 2 and asked, "In 3 days, I will set off for the true Sun Great World behind the Eternal World. Do you plan to go as well?" "It's not us, it's me." Sword Master Xingyi said. The Shadow-bearing Sword Master smiled bitterly. "I'm the current Shadow-bearing Sword Master. Before I nurture a new Shadow-bearing Sword Master, I cannot leave Sword Shadow. This is my duty and also my mission. Otherwise, I really want to go with Sword Master Xingyi. You have to think carefully. True Sun Great World is different from our Divine Wilderness Great World. True Sun Great World's Yuan Qi was damaged during the Great Battle with our Divine Wilderness 10,000 years ago, but it has already recovered by more than half. According to the information I received, True Sun Great World does not have powerful existences who can create a world with a single thought. There are even universe giants who are above powerful existences and can be said to be overseeing a region. If you go there, your status will fall to the level of a transformative or endless realm expert in Heaven Wasteland Great World. You will only be considered an insignificant person. Can you withstand this?" Tsing Hui looked at Sword Master Xingyi. Sword Master Xingyi's expression was solemn. I've thought it through. Even though I might not be able to recreate the glory and splendor I have in the true Sun Great World, only there can I hope to pursue a higher realm and goal. Not necessarily. We have already broken the seal of more than 10 worlds around us. There will be all kinds of cultivation treasures in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Relying on those cultivation treasures, you may be able to cultivate to the insightful void realm, or crushing vacuum realm, in the future. But you will never be able to cultivate to the divine true body. Sword Master Xingyi smiled bitterly. It is too difficult to rely on the resources in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to cultivate to the divine true body. It can be said that it is so difficult that there is no hope. Therefore, I can only go to True Sun Great World and give it a try. Speaking of this, there was a flash of confidence in his eyes. I believe that, since I was able to make a name for myself in the Heaven Wasteland domain, I will definitely not be inferior to others in the True Sun Great World. As long as I have enough time, there will eventually be a place for me in that world. Qing Su looked at Sword Master Xingyi. He could sense Sword Master Xingyi's soaring fighting spirit. After a moment of silence, he nodded in the end, "All right then. I'll take you with me when the time comes. It's not just you. I'll tell Sanxiong, Chang Hong, true god of suffering, and so on that I can take anyone who wants to leave with me." Finally, he seemed to have thought of something. However, True Sun Great World is much more dangerous than our divine wilderness world. There are also many more experts. Without the strength of an Almighty, it is better to continue cultivating in the divine wilderness world. Thank you, Sword Master Tsing Hui. Sword Master Xingyi immediately stood up and bowed solemnly to Tsing Hui. Then, Tsing Hui did as he said. He told Master Zhuzhao, Master Firmament, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Tribulation True God, and the others about this matter. As long as they had the strength of an Almighty and had the courage to go to True Sun Great World, they could follow him. Under such circumstances, on the third day, when Tsing Hui planned to leave for eternity, there were already 22 people waiting on his mountain peak. Chapter 766. Among the 22 people, there were many faces that Tsing Hui was familiar with. Aside from Bai Shuiying and Sword Master Xingyi, there was also the Lan Rui Sword Saint, the Flying Fish Sword Saint, the Floating Cloud Sword Saint, and so on. What surprised Qing Su in particular was that Yulan, the disciple that the Reverend Zhu Zhao was proud of, was actually among the 22 people. Esteemed Master, you, Tsing Hui looked at Yulan, and his gaze immediately fell on esteemed Zhu Zhao. Although esteemed Zhu Zhao was a little reluctant, he still said in a carefree manner, "Juniors have their own opportunities. You should know my situation. I'm afraid I won't be able to give Yulan any more pointers. Rather than that, it's better to let her go to the True Sun Great World. Anyway, didn't you say that you would return in 10 years? Let her go out and have a look. If she really can't go on, she'll come back with you in 10 years. The space channel on Earth would open again in 11 years, which was why Tsing Hui said that he would go to the True Sun Great World for 10 years. 10 years was naturally a long time for mortals, but for the people present, whose cultivation was at least at the Almighty Realm, it was not worth mentioning. It could even be treated as a temporary sightseeing trip. This was also the reason why so many people wanted to go to the True Sun Great World. However, esteemed Master, what I said about returning is just a theoretical statement. The teleportation array is a critical place, so it will definitely be heavily guarded. Even if there is no one at the realm of world creation, there will at least be a traversal realm expert guarding it. 10 years later, I may not be able to safely activate the teleportation array and teleport back to our world. If I don't have the cultivation of world creation, I may not choose to return to the divine wilderness. Tsing Hui said helplessly. It doesn't matter. I know that your goal is to cultivate one thought world in True Sun World. To achieve one thought world in 10 years is a fantasy for any cultivator. However, you have always been good at creating miracles. I believe that in 10 years, you will certainly live up to everyone's expectations. Esteemed Zhu Zhao seemed to be quite optimistic about this matter. When Tsing Hui heard this, he suddenly felt a little helpless. Besides, if you really can't come back, there's no need to force it. Since Yulan and the others have made the choice to go out and explore, they already have the awareness that they might encounter danger and die in a foreign land. You don't have to worry too much about it. Master Zhu Zhao said. The other divine realm experts and almighties who chose to go to True Sun Great World nodded solemnly. Master Zhu Zhao is right. Since we have decided to go to True Sun Great World, we will leave our lives to fate. We will not bring any trouble to Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. That's right. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, you only need to bring us to the True Sun Great World. Everyone has their own opportunities. What we can achieve in the True Sun Great World will depend on ourselves. Sword Venerable, don't worry. I was able to cultivate step by step from a mortal on a medium-sized continent where the strongest expert is only at the Golden Core stage. What kind of storm and danger have I not seen? Even if the True Sun Great World is more dangerous, I am willing to face it. Tsing Hui's gaze swept across these people one by one. Seeing their resolute expressions, he did not try to persuade them anymore. In that case, all of you can enter my personal space. When the time comes, your lives will be up to fate. Thank you, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. The Divine Realm experts and almighties bowed deeply to Tsing Hui at the same time, and then stepped into the personal space opened by Tsing Hui one by one. Everyone, I'll leave the Hunyuan sword sect to you. Qing Su turned around and glanced at Venerable Master Zhu Zhao, Venerable Master Sky, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and the others. These Divine Realm experts nodded solemnly. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, don't worry. We will take care of the Hunyuan sword sect properly. In that case, let's go. With that, Tsing Hui leaped up. Master Zhu Zhao stepped forward and took the World Core and Tsing Hui to the Eternal Sword Sect. Master Firmament watched Master Zhu Zhao and Tsing Hui leave with a solemn expression. He turned to the remaining Divine Realm experts and said, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui has his own things to do. We can't rely on Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's protection forever. From now on, we will have to rely on our own efforts. Everyone, let's work hard together. Let's work hard together. The Divine Realm experts agreed. Eternal Sword Sect. Since the Eternal Sword Sect had been destroyed, the Hunyuan Sword Sect had later released the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts, but they had occupied the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts. At this moment, the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts were guarding the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts. With the protection of the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts, no one could tear the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts apart unless Divine Realm experts from the Divine Wilderness personally attacked. If Divine Realm experts dared to attack the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm experts, they would be provoking the Hunyuan Sword Sect again. At that time, Tsing Hui wouldn't even need to do anything. Master Zhu Zhao, who had the advantage of being in the chaotic realm, would be able to kill him in one blow. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui. As Tsing Hui arrived at the Eternal Sword Sect's Divine Realm, the Divine Realm experts and Divine Realm experts came forward to greet him. Thank you for your hard work. Tsing Hui said. How can it be considered hard work when working for the sect? The Divine Realm expert said with a smile. At the same time, he gestured with his hand and said, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, please come with us. As he spoke, he had already led the way. After a while, they appeared in front of a level 12 formation. This formation was constantly in operation, and there were 4 powerful experts presiding over it. Even a Divine Realm expert wouldn't be able to silently sneak in and destroy the teleportation formation protected by the formation. The Divine Realm expert led Tsing Hui and Master Zhu Zhao to a large square in the middle of the formation that was 3,000 meters in diameter. This square was surrounded by 36 white jade pillars with mysterious runes carved on them. Even though the formation hadn't been activated yet, the formation itself was already able to slightly distort the surrounding space. In Tsing Hui's vision, this space was like a huge whirlpool that was sucking in spatial energy from all directions. Even without the world core, this formation would be able to absorb enough energy to activate and operate on its own in 3,000 to 4,000 years. Seeing this formation, Tsing Hui's expression turned slightly solemn. He asked, "Are there many of these teleportation formations in our divine wilderness world?" Although Master Zhuzhao's comprehension of the laws wasn't at Tsing Hui's level, he could more or less feel that something was amiss. He could vaguely guess the reason for his question. These formations were left behind by the Heaven Primordial World and the True Sun Great World behind the Eternal Sword sect. The top formations were destroyed 10,000 years ago. It said that the supreme experts of our divine wilderness world killed their way into the True Sun Great World and the Heaven Primordial World through these formations. However, some of the weaker formations were left behind. There are about 10 of them. 10 of them. Tsing Hui stared at the teleportation formation for a moment and carefully sensed it before saying, "This formation has been absorbing energy on its own for more than 10,000 years. It has already replenished 70% of its energy. If the other formations have similar effects, I'm afraid the problem is a little serious. You'd better mobilize manpower to find these formations and completely destroy them. Otherwise, when these formations absorb enough energy and operate on their own, the gate to our divine wilderness world will be completely open to the Heaven Primordial World and the True Sun Great World." Master Zhuzhao immediately said solemnly, "Don't worry. When I go back, I'll send people to find these remaining formations. Whether they can still operate or not, we'll destroy them all first. That's for the best." Tsing Hui nodded. Finally, he pointed in a direction and said, "Master, place the world core there and activate the teleportation formation." "Okay." Master Zhuzhao nodded and embedded the world core into the teleportation formation. After receiving the power of the world core, the teleportation formation, which already had the power to slightly distort space, suddenly radiated light in all directions. Waves of ripples continuously spread out in all directions with the formation as the center. In an instant, the ripples had already spread hundreds of kilometers away. "Tsing Hui, you must be careful. When you reach the True Sun Great World, use the transformation art to escape without any explanation." "I understand. Next, when I give the order, activate the formation and teleport me over," Tsing Hui said cautiously. Master Zhuzhao did not understand, but still nodded. In fact, Tsing Hui had already activated the future reversal immortal technique that he had just perfected and began to peek into his future. Under the future reversal immortal technique, some intermittent scenes suddenly appeared in the long river of time. At times, there were supreme powerhouses who could create worlds with a thought, and at other times, there were only reigning realm powerhouses. Clearly, the person in charge of the teleportation formation on the other side was indeed a peak existence who could create worlds with a thought. However, that powerhouse was not always guarding the teleportation formation. Instead, the ones who took turns to guard the teleportation formation were reigning realm powerhouses. This gave him an opportunity to break out of the encirclement. As Tsing Hui continued to use future reversal immortal technique to calculate, after a full 2 hours, the powerhouse who could create worlds with a thought finally disappeared. He immediately shouted, "Activate the formation." Buzz buzz. Esteemed Zhu Zhao waved his hand, and all the spatial energy in the world core was instantly drawn and poured into the teleportation array that had already absorbed all the spatial energy. For a moment, the spatial distortion phenomenon was stimulated to the extreme. Accompanied by a burst of intense light that soared into the sky, the spatial ripples that spread out reached the extreme, directly engulfing the area within a radius of thousands of kilometers. At the center of the spatial ripples, Tsing Hui, who was still there a second ago, suddenly disappeared without a trace as if he had been erased by someone. Success! Master Zhuzhao looked at Tsing Hui who had disappeared without a trace and muttered, "Tsing Hui, although we don't know why you have to go to the True Sun Great World. I hope your trip to the True Sun Great World will go smoothly. Chapter 767. True Sun Great World. Unlike the fragmented divine wilderness world, True Sun Great World only had 6 continents since ancient times. Perhaps there was only one continent in ancient times, but that was so long that it was impossible to investigate. At this moment, in a valley on the Scarlet Sun continent, one of the 6 continents of True Sun Great World, there were 2 powerhouses who had cultivated divine true body, leading a dozen powerhouses who had shattered the vacuum realm, patrolling an area of tens of thousands of kilometers. Heaven Pass Valley. This was one of the most heavily guarded forbidden areas in the Scarlet Sun Empire. It was personally overseen by one of the 18 kings, King Hunyuan, and was guarded by 16 traversal realm dukes and generals at all times. As a result, there were at least 4 traversal realm powerhouses keeping an eye on this place at all times. No one could easily set foot inside. Today's patrol mission is completed. The leading divine true body cultivator said and led a group of people into Heaven Pass Valley. Next, he needed to switch shifts with another team and let the others continue patrolling. In the entire Sky Pass Valley, there were more than 100 patrol teams similar to this one, led by a divine true body expert and a dozen vacuum-shattering realm cultivators. If the teams that were on vacation were included, this number would be multiplied several times. Due to the large number of people and the fact that the one responsible for the defense of Tongtian Valley was Lord Hunyuan, one of the 18 kings of the Red Sun Emperor, the entire valley was impregnable. The so-called patrol was mostly routine. In any case, after so many years, the number of problems in Heaven Pass Valley could be counted on one hand. Hey, Captain Miao Cheng, I heard that you've been serving in Heaven Pass Valley for decades. Can you tell me what secrets there are in Heaven Pass Valley? Our Scarlet Sun Empire is such a large territory, but a king and a dozen or so important people are in charge of this place. At this time, the junior in the team who seemed to have cultivated for less than 1,000 years asked curiously. However, as soon as he spoke, the vice captain, Ming Tong, who had also cultivated divine true body, glared at him and reprimanded, "Have you forgotten the rules of our Heaven Pass Valley? No one is allowed to inquire about anything that they don't have the authority to know. Little guy, do you want to be punished by those important people? If you really break the rules of Tongtian Valley, even those big shots who put you in here may not be able to protect you. Ming Tong, there's no need to be so fierce. There's almost no problem in Tongtian Valley for thousands of years. We don't need to be so nervous. Besides, the so-called secret in Tongtian Valley is nothing more than the place where some of the imperial family of our Qiang Empire passed away. There's nothing worth asking." Miao Qing waved his hand, not taking this matter to heart. In short, you just need to patrol well. Apart from some curious people, there basically won't be any problems. And those who are extremely curious will often be detected by the outer spirit arrays before they even get close to the valley. The resting place of the Scarlet Sun Empire's royal family. The young man, who had shattered the vacuum realm, looked into the valley curiously. He seemed to find the valley more and more mysterious. However, just as he was looking into the valley, a stream of light suddenly spread out from the valley. In an instant, it formed a pillar of light that soared into the sky. At the same time, a circle of spatial ripples that could be seen with the naked eye quickly spread out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, it had already swept over hundreds of kilometers. This sudden change stunned the entire team at the same time. The next moment, a powerful aura burst out from the valley. The 4 reigning realm experts who were guarding the place poured their power down at the same time, enveloping the entire valley. And outside the valley, 8 auras that belonged to reigning realm experts swept over. Further away, Lord Hunyuan, who happened to be patrolling and leaving, hurriedly rushed over. Based on his flying speed that was almost like traveling through the void, it would take less than 3 or 4 breaths for his true body to completely descend. What's going on? Miao Qing was stunned. Hurry, let's go and see. Ming Tong shouted in a low voice and immediately flew toward the location of the anomaly. But before they had time to fly to the place where the anomaly occurred, a long roar pierced the sky. The next moment, a huge and majestic Kunpeng phantom suddenly flew out from the Tongtian Valley. With its extremely sensitive control of space fluctuations, it immediately tore the void apart and was about to escape into the space mezzanine with a figure. Stop him! Beast! You want to escape? Hurry, activate the heaven-sealing earth-locking formation. Bursts of shrill roars came out at the same time as the divine beast Kunpeng rushed into the void, accompanied by a mighty force that seemed to be able to completely overturn the divine beast Kunpeng. At the critical moment, the figure led by the divine beast Kunpeng to fly into the space turbulence made a prompt decision. He abandoned the divine beast Kunpeng and used the divine beast Kunpeng as a shield to block the attacks of the crowd. Then, he waved his sword and instantly tore the void apart. He directly escaped into the space mezzanine and was about to escape. Oh no! That's the person we really need to capture. General Alsor, you deal with this beast. We'll enter the spatial mezzanine to capture the person. This person came from that world. We can't let him escape. Duke Qing, I'll go with you to chase after that person. Along with the shout, 3 of the 4 Vermilion Realm experts guarding the teleportation array directly chased after the figure that had escaped into the spatial mezzanine, while the remaining one tried his best to tangle with the divine beast, the Kunpeng. However, just as the 3 reigning realm experts chased after the figure into the spatial mezzanine, a figure that was 70 to 80% similar to the person who had just left appeared again. Then, with a flash, he was about to escape into the spatial mezzanine again, luring the tiger away from the mountain. The remaining General Alsor immediately understood something and immediately roared, "You think you can escape from me with a mere void-shattering realm expert? Dream on!" As soon as he finished speaking, he made a grabbing motion with his hand. The surrounding space seemed to have been squeezed into a sphere, including the figure with the cultivation level of the void-shattering stage. No matter how the figure struggled, he was unable to break free from the sphere. However, just as General Alsor was diverting his attention to capture the human figure alive, the Kunpeng seemed to have finally seized the opportunity. Its body trembled as it directly escaped into the spatial mezzanine. Then, with a flap of its wings, it erupted with the Kunpeng's innate ability to space and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Almost at the same time that the Kunpeng disappeared, 2 of the 3 reigning realm experts who had chased into the spatial mezzanine quickly returned. With a hurried expression, they said, "Not good, the person we were chasing just now was an incarnation." General Alsor's expression changed. His gaze also focused on the figure trapped in the space in his hand. Even though the figure in front of him looked no different from a real person, after he, a reigning realm expert, carefully sized it up for a moment, he still saw through the flaws of the figure. This person is actually also an incarnation. There's only one true body, and that's the Kunpeng. That divine beast, Kunpeng, is our real target. Kunpeng. How could a Kunpeng have such a plan? Transformation technique. A transformation technique derived from the 50th level of chaos. According to the materials sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, the amount of Taoist rhymes stored in that world is unbelievably rich. There must be many high-level sons of chaos that are extremely rare in our true Sun Great World. The one in front of us is obviously one of the best among those high-level sons of chaos. He's in existence who raised the level of chaos to 50 and pointed out the transformation technique. Let's chase after him. The reigning realm expert analyzed and rushed into the spatial mezzanine as fast as he could. However, due to their previous delay, when they chased into the spatial mezzanine, they could no longer catch the figure of the Kunpeng. For a moment, the expressions of these reigning realm experts became extremely unsightly. Whoosh! 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 Not long after the reigning realm experts entered the spatial mezzanine, the other 8 reigning realm experts in Sky Pass Valley hurried over. At the same time, King Hunyuan, who was in charge of the overall situation in Sky Pass Valley, also arrived. The pressure formed by the creation of his personal world on the surrounding space caused the interlayers of space to be quickly smoothed out wherever he passed. It was as if a towering mountain was suppressing the sea, and in an instant, all the turbulent waves on the surface of the sea were destroyed. Greetings, King Hunyuan. Seeing the arrival of King Hunyuan, the 11 reigning realm experts present hurriedly bowed with guilt and apprehension on their faces. Where's the creature that came out of the spatial teleportation array? We fell for the enemy's trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. The enemy has already torn open the void here and escaped. Please punish us, King Hunyuan. General Alsor immediately half-knelt in the void and begged for forgiveness. However, King Hunyuan ignored General Alsor. His gaze quickly fell on the location where the Kunpeng had left. After carefully sizing it up, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. This child. His comprehension of the laws is extremely profound. He tore open the space and escaped without leaving any traces. In terms of the understanding of the laws, I'm afraid he's already close to creating a personal world, reaching the realm of world creation with a thought. The other reigning realm experts couldn't help but be stunned when they heard this, reaching the realm of world creation with a thought. But not long ago, the people from that world said that the strongest expert in their world called the Divine Wilderness was only at the Insightful Void Realm. Insightful Void Realm is 3 whole realms away from the reigning realm. How is it possible? Did you see clearly that the enemy really came out of the spatial teleportation array? Yes, it's absolutely true. Duke Qing stepped forward and vowed solemnly. It looks like there's a problem with the Divine Wilderness. King Hunyuan's expression sank. Think of a way to contact the chess pieces in the Divine Wilderness as soon as possible. We must ask what happened in the Divine Wilderness. I have to send a clone to the Imperial capital to report this matter to His Majesty. It's too difficult to reverse deduce and activate this spatial teleportation array with just the strength of our country. If we delay like this, the Divine Wilderness, this big piece of meat in our mouth, will change. His Majesty must make a decision as soon as possible. Chapter 768. Whoosh! In the endless void. The divine beast Kunpeng that Qing Su had transformed into moved with unbelievable speed, moving at full speed. With his comprehension of laws that was on par with experts who could create a world with a single thought and the interference of the heavenly secrets from the immortal technique Shadowless Stance, he basically did not leave behind any traces along the way. Unless the titans who had cultivated chaos and fused with truth personally pursued him, even true immortals and true gods who could create a world with a single thought would not be able to catch a trace of him if they personally took action. Compared to the Divine Wilderness world, the true Sun Great World is really more powerful. While Tsing Hui was traveling through the endless void, he looked at the end of the world from time to time. With the divine beast Kunpeng's talent in the laws of space and his law sensitivity that was not inferior to an expert who could create a world with a thought, he could clearly sense the void fortresses that were hidden in the periphery of the true Sun Great World from time to time. These void fortresses were equivalent to the satellites of the true Sun Great World. If there were some top experts who wanted to launch an attack from outside the true Sun Great World, they would first have to break through the defensive line formed by these void fortresses. I can't fly any further. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be targeted by the experts who are stationed in these void fortresses. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. Seeing that there seemed to be another void fortress appearing in his senses, he immediately stopped moving forward. His body pressed down and escaped into the true Sun Great World in front of him. As the space barrier was torn apart, his figure appeared directly in the sky of the true Sun Great World. After appearing in the true Sun Great World, Tsing Hui did not dare to delay. He immediately transformed into his human form and activated his divine ability, Chasing Light. With a flying speed that was not inferior to a vacuum-shattering expert, he left the place in the blink of an eye. After flying for an unknown period of time, a huge city appeared in Tsing Hui's vision. Suddenly, the aura on Tsing Hui's body changed again. It was suppressed to the level of the golden elixir realm, and then he descended. Because he cultivated the ultimate sword Dao system created by the hidden sword sovereign, he had embarked on a completely different path after reaching the golden elixir realm. If he tried his best to conceal himself as a golden elixir realm expert, even a top expert who could create a world with a thought would not be able to find anything unusual about him. At most, they would only think that there was something wrong with his golden elixir. And for a top expert who could create a world with a thought, why would they pay too much attention to a mere golden elixir realm cultivator? According to the Tai Emperor, there are 6 continents in the True Sun Great World. Of the 6 continents, 3 of them are occupied by empires established by 3 primal chaos realm experts. Moreover, because the primal chaos realm giants are personally overseeing them, the 3 empires rule over the continents under their jurisdiction can be said to be impregnable. It won't be easy to mix in here. As for the remaining 3 continents, 2 of them are occupied by fierce beasts, sacred beasts, and divine beasts. So, the only one suitable for me to explore is the 6th continent where fierce beasts and humans live together, the Tsangshuan continent. After entering the city, Tsing Hui appeared to be quite low-key. After using some means to obtain a map of the nearby area, he leaped up again, activated his remarkable ability, and flew at full speed toward another city at the border of the Qiang Empire. This city was called the City of Freedom. It was the only city in the Qiang Empire that had a teleportation formation other than the 18 royal capitals. After paying the fee of 3 Dao runes, Tsing Hui obtained a quota to use the teleportation formation in the City of Freedom. After waiting for 3 days, the teleportation formation was activated. As the space rippled, his figure appeared on the Tsangshuan continent, which was tens of millions of kilometers away from the Qiang Empire. The Tsangshuan continent was named after Tsangshuan mainly because of the large number of ancient trees planted on this continent. This kind of ancient tree was not only tall and had a long lifespan, but also extremely sturdy. If cut down, it could be refined into a 9th or 10th grade divine weapon. Even a golden core expert may not be able to cut down a 1,000-year-old Tsangshuan ancient tree if they did not use the power of their golden core. Some Tsangshuan ancient trees that had grown for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years, were so sturdy that they could withstand sacred attacks. Only shattering vacuum experts could cut and tear them apart. However, it was precisely because the Tsangshuan ancient tree was only useful to cultivators below the shattering vacuum stage that the Qiang Empire, True Martial Empire, and Flame River Empire did not interfere too much in the Tsangshuan continent. Otherwise, the top experts of the Tsangshuan continent might not be able to withstand the primal chaos overlords of the 3 great empires. Blackwood City. Tsing Hui walked out of the teleportation formation and swept a glance around Blackwood City. The True Sun Great World was worthy of being called an ancient world that was in its heyday. As Tsing Hui looked around, he saw almost all cultivators who had cultivated immortality. From time to time, he could even see great experts who had cultivated remarkable abilities. However, it was quite rare to see experts above the saint stage. But there were some. Qin Su used the aura examination technique slightly and glanced around. He saw hundreds and thousands of sainthood presences. Among them, there was a strange space that resembled a chaotic hole on a mountain several hundred kilometers away from Blackwood City. Even his aura examination technique was unable to see through it. Evidently, that strange space was the small world of a great expert who could create a world with a thought. It was clear that Blackwood City was personally overseen by a great expert who could create a world with a thought. But on second thought, it made sense. Although a thought to create a world had the ability to set up a teleportation array, it required a lot of effort and cost. Even a teleportation array from the Tsangshuan continent to the Qiang Empire, which was only tens of millions of kilometers long, wasn't a trivial matter to maintain. The expert who created this teleportation array naturally had to be nearby to keep an eye on it so that it wouldn't be destroyed and his efforts would be wasted. There's not much left. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. He swept his gaze around and soon came to a place where he could rent a cave dwelling. This place was supported by a great expert who had cultivated the divine true body and had an excellent reputation. After paying a dao or a treasure, Tsing Hui easily rented the best location for 10 years. Although this cave dwelling was called a cave dwelling, it was in fact a manor. There were layers of formations in the manor, the highest level of which was 15th order. Although the formations in the other places did not reach the 15th order level, they were still 13th order and 14th order. It could be said to be impregnable. After activating these formations and waving his hand to dismiss the servants in the manor, Tsing Hui opened his personal space. Immediately, everyone in his personal space impatiently leapt out and landed in the manor. What rich Yuan Qi compared to our heaven wasteland domain, the Yuan Qi here is 3 times richer. Cultivating here for a day is almost equivalent to cultivating in the divine wilderness domain for 3 days. Sword Master Xingyi, who came out of his personal space, immediately sensed the changes in the 2 worlds. The Yuan Qi of this world is indeed much denser than the Yuan Qi of our divine wilderness world. The denser the Yuan Qi is, the higher the chances of top heavenly treasures being born. Therefore, if everyone wants to wander around in search of heavenly treasures, you should be able to gain quite a bit. However, I suggest that everyone should not be in a hurry to search for heavenly treasures. Instead, use the items you have prepared to buy some cultivation items that you can use. When I came over, I casually strolled around a few chamber of commerce in this city. The items they sell are of very high level and are of great use to cultivators below the divine realm. Tsing Hui introduced. Hearing his words, the eyes of those cultivators who had not reached the saint realm suddenly lit up. I have rented this cave dwelling for 10 years. In 10 years, everyone can freely enter and leave here. Moreover, after 10 years, if I have cultivated world creation with a thought, and plan to return to the divine wilderness domain, I will meet up with everyone here if I have not cultivated world creation with a thought. At this point, Tsing Hui paused for a moment. Everyone can only rely on their own opportunities. In Clear Sky Valley, there was an expert at world creation with a thought, who was in charge of overseeing the overall situation. Opening the teleportation formation often required 10 breaths of time if there were enough void crystals. Unless Lord Huifeng, who was in charge of Clear Sky Valley, had completely left Clear Sky Valley, 10 breaths of time was enough for him to arrive. At that time, if he wanted to ensure the smooth opening of the teleportation formation, he would need to have the power to resist the expert at world creation with a thought. 10 years is not long, but it is not short either. No one knows what will happen in 10 years. Bai Shuiying stepped forward and smiled indifferently. Tsing Hui, during this period of time, have you gathered information about the true Sun Great World? What are your plans for the future? Since there are only 6 continents in the entire true Sun Great World, any one of the 6 continents is several times larger than our heaven wasteland domain. Right now, the Tsangshuan continent we are in is 4,690,000 kilometers long and 6,880,000 kilometers wide. Its area is ranked 3rd among the 6 continents of the true Sun Great World. There are hundreds of large and small sects on the Tsangshuan continent, as well as hundreds of clans and empires. It can be said to be chaotic, but there are only 16 forces that are truly presentable. 16 forces. These 16 forces should all have experts at world creation with a thought, right? Flying Fish Sword Saint, who belonged to the Baihong Sword sect, asked. That's right. Qing Su nodded. Among the 16 forces, there are a total of 28 experts who can create a world with a single thought. These 28 experts work together to maintain a balance of power. Apart from these 16 forces, there are also many ferocious beasts and sacred beasts in the Tsangshuan continent. Although there aren't many of these ferocious beasts, sacred beasts, and divine beasts, they still occupy a small portion of the Hunyuan continent. They are also a force that cannot be ignored. My suggestion to everyone is to first join a sect. I believe that with everyone's talent to become great experts in the heaven wasteland world, you will soon be able to display your talents in those sections. Chapter 769. Enter a sect, huh? The flying fish sword saint nodded. That was their plan as well. Then what about you, Grand Elder Tsinghui? Me? Tsinghui smiled. I'm afraid I'll be a merchant next. The flying fish sword saint immediately understood. Tsinghui was different from them. Although they had deliberately brought many Dao-carrying items with them, perhaps 100 or 200 would be the limit, Tsinghui's, his Dao-carrying aura was vast. With True Sun Great World's prices being 10 times lower than the Divine Wilderness Worlds, the things he could buy were undoubtedly much more than what they could buy. Tsinghui, you have many good things on you. True Sun Great World is not the Divine Wilderness World. Don't be targeted by others. Bai Shuaing reminded him. True Sun Great World is different from our completely sealed Divine Wilderness World. Other than the local forces, there are also some external forces. These forces include a special chamber of commerce called Seeking Dao. Seeking Dao only has one expert who can create a world with a thought in the True Sun Great World. In addition, it is said that they have a chaotic realm giant behind them. However, when they first entered True Sun Great World, they were jointly resisted by the 3 chaotic realm giants of True Sun Great World, so they had no choice but to send a world with a thought expert to take charge of True Sun Great World's affairs. Although that chaotic realm giant has never truly stepped into True Sun Great World, Seeking Dao has a special status there. At the very least, the other forces, including the 3 great empires, do not dare to force the members of Seeking Dao too much. I only need to get a sufficient status in Seeking Dao, and the following transactions will be easy. Status in Seeking Dao. How do you do that? Bai Shuaing asked curiously. Seeking Dao, Seeking Dao. The Dao they seek is not the Dao of the Great Dao, but the Dao of Aura. In other words, as long as you have enough Dao Aura, you can trade with Seeking Dao many times. Once the amount reaches a certain level, your status will quickly rise. At this point, Tsinghui paused for a moment. I've seen the goods sold in Seeking Dao. Although the price is higher than the market price, if the level is high enough, you can buy many priceless treasures. Bai Shuaing nodded. Be careful. Don't get targeted by others. I understand. Daoist Qiu Dao values the credibility of an agreement very much. Although there are many despicable methods used before the agreement is signed, once the agreement is signed, everyone has to abide by the agreement. Therefore, I only need to maintain the secrecy of my true identity. Tsinghui seemed to think of something and said again, by the way, if you want to join a sect, I also have a recommendation. It's called the Void Sword Pavilion. It's said to be a force with a greater background than Seeking Dao. When Seeking Dao entered the True Sun Great World, the Chaos Giant behind him fought with the 3 existences in the Chaos realm of the True Sun Great World. In the end, they reached an agreement and were allowed to enter. However, the Void Sword Pavilion directly entered the True Sun Great World. The 3 Chaos Giants of the True Sun Great World did not even stop them. Moreover, until now, the Void Sword Pavilion has set up branches in the Scarlet Sun Empire, the Flame River Empire, and the True Martial Empire. They are safe and sound. Void Sword Pavilion. I'll think about it. Tsinghui did not insist after giving the recommendation. He also needed to learn more about Seeking Dao. Over the next few days, Tsinghui, Bai Shuaing, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Saint Lan Rui and others were all busy, doing their best to learn about the Hunyuan continent. As their understanding of the Hunyuan continent gradually deepened, the almighty experts found their next destination and left one after another. 10 days later, there were only a few people left in the cave dwelling Tsing Hui rented. And today, Bai Shuaing, who had thought it through, found Tsing Hui and came to say goodbye to him. Have you thought it through? Void Sword Pavilion? Yes, the Void Sword Pavilion. I plan to go there and give it a try. With your talent, I believe that any force will rush to recruit you. I'm waiting for the good news of you making a name for yourself in the Void Sword Pavilion. Tsing Hui said with a smile. Well, if everything goes well, I'll invite you to the Void Sword Pavilion for a chat. Bai Shuaing said. Go ahead. Tsing Hui waved his hand. Bai Shuaing nodded. Then, she looked at Tsing Hui as if she had something to say, but in the end, she couldn't say it. She only said, be careful. Don't worry, I won't do anything dangerous. Then I'm leaving. Okay. Tsing Hui responded. Bai Shuaing turned around and flew into the air on her sword. But just as she was about to rush into the clouds, she still looked back at Tsing Hui. When she saw that Tsing Hui was still watching her leave, she couldn't help but smile. The next moment, her figure accelerated, like a white stream tearing through the void, streaking across the sky and disappearing without a trace. Watching Bai Shuaing leave, Tsing Hui's thoughts were a little complicated. However, after a moment, he seemed to have thought of something. In the end, he suppressed those complicated and empty thoughts. He had already inquired about the location of the branch of Chiu Dao in Blackwood City. After a little preparation, he directly headed to the branch in the most prosperous area of Blackwood City. Although Blackwood City was huge, because flying was not allowed, Tsing Hui only spent a few dozen breaths of time to arrive at the branch of Chiu Dao in the city center. The essence of Chiu Dao was a chamber of commerce, but it was a chamber of commerce with a hierarchy system and was still a member. The headquarters in the city center was not only responsible for the business of joining the sect, but also for the sale of goods. However, because they only accepted the internal currency of Chiu Dao, the branch hall looked rather deserted. Welcome, I'm receptionist number 6. I'm very happy to serve you. Tsing Hui stepped into Chiu Dao, and a rather pure-looking young girl immediately came out to welcome him. Although this young girl looked very young, Tsing Hui, who had already cultivated the aura examination technique to perfection, felt a faint aura of decay from her body. Based on his initial estimation, her true age was over 2,000 years old. Senior, what have you taken a fancy to? Are you familiar with the transaction method and process of our Chiu Dao? Receptionist number 6 asked. I understand. I'm here this time to become an instructor of Chiu Dao. In that case, senior, please come in. Receptionist number 6 immediately gestured with her hand and led Tsing Hui into Chiu Dao. Senior, may I know which level of instructor would you like to become in Chiu Dao? Ordinary Chiu Dao instructors need to exchange 1,000 Dao points in one go. Intermediate Chiu Dao instructors need 2,000 Dao points, advanced Chiu Dao instructors need 5,000 Dao points, and deacon instructors need 10,000 Dao points. I need 10,000 Dao points to become a deacon. Tsing Hui said calmly, 10,000 Dao points. Receptionist number 6's eyes lit up when she heard Tsing Hui's words. She was not the only one. Even the faces of the other receptionists nearby were filled with envy at this moment. If it were not for the internal rules that forbade them from snatching customers who had already been served, they would have probably rushed over impatiently. Even so, there were still a few receptionists who pretended to accidentally break a cup to attract Tsing Hui's attention. A young girl who happened to be not far from him even pretended to accidentally fall and leaned her soft body toward Tsing Hui. However, before the young girl could pounce on Tsing Hui, receptionist number 6's figure flashed and pulled her up. At the same time, she reprimanded, Number 9, why are you so careless? What if you disturb our esteemed guest? After saying that, she hurriedly gestured with her hand and said with a smile, Senior, please come in first. Your choice to join Chiu Dao is definitely an extremely wise decision. In Chiu Dao, as long as you pay a certain amount of Dao points, we can provide any service for you. As she spoke, she deliberately straightened her waist a little, trying her best to show off her exquisite figure. However, although the woman in front of him looked like a young girl, Tsing Hui, who knew her true age, had no interest in her at all. He only said with a slightly solemn voice, "Help me complete the entry procedures as soon as possible. I still have things to buy." "Yes, yes. Sir Deacon, please follow me." Receptionist number 6 was very good at reading people's expressions. When she saw that Tsing Hui did not seem to fall for her trick, she immediately changed her role and respectfully led the way in front, bringing Tsing Hui to an inner courtyard. In this courtyard, there were several people bustling back and forth. Each of them had a cultivation of the divine realm. Among them, the middle-aged man in the lead, even though he deliberately hid his aura, he still gave off a strong sense of oppression. Divine true body. Tsing Hui saw this person's true cultivation at a glance. However, when he thought of the important location of Blackwood City, it was not strange for Qiu Dao to send a divine true body expert to guard this place. He would not be surprised if a great expert of the traversal realm came out of Qiu Dao. "Supervisor, this senior wants to join Qiu Dao and exchange 100 Dao rhymes to become a deacon." "Oh." The eyes of the middle-aged man with a divine true body cultivation lit up when he heard receptionist number 6's words. He enthusiastically walked up from his seat and greeted, "Please take a seat. I'm Dao Gang, the sect master of Blackwood City. How should I address you, Deacon?" "My name is Dong Yang." "So it's Deacon Dong Yang. Please take a seat." The middle-aged Dao Gang did not have the slightest majesty of a top divine true body expert. He enthusiastically pulled out a chair for Tsing Hui and invited him to sit. At the same time, he ordered, "Quick, make tea. Spirit refreshing tea." "Yes." The maid on the side answered and quickly retreated. "Deacon Dong Yang, do you want to exchange 100 Dao rhymes for 10,000 Dao rhymes to become a deacon of Qiu Dao? Believe me, Deacon Dong Yang, you will definitely be glad of your choice today. Your Dao rhymes." With a wave of his hand, Qing Su took out an item that contained 100 Daoist charms. Sensing the prompt from the interface of the Son of Chaos, Dao Gang's breathing slightly stagnated. He looked pleasantly surprised and said, "Good, good. Deacon Dong Yang is really bold." As he spoke, he took out a jade tablet and said, "Deacon Dong Yang, as long as you imprint a strand of your spirit into it, the jade tablet will record the fluctuation of your spirit. When the time comes, we'll record it again and your identity will be stored in our Taoist's Taoist tool." Tsing Hui nodded and imprinted a part of his spirit into the jade token. Dao Gang took the jade token and operated it in front of a machine-like object not far away. Not long after, he took out the jade token again and handed it to Tsing Hui. "Deacon Dong Yang, please take a look. There are 10,000 Dao values in it. If you want to trade or buy something, you can insert the jade token into any Dao instrument. This Dao instrument was refined by our sect master using the refining technique and the alchemy technique in the world occupied by the Lord of Time. It is convenient and fast to share information. I'm sure you will be satisfied, Deacon Dong Yang." "Okay." Tsing Hui nodded and said directly, "I want to buy something now. I want spiritual marrow. 100,000 spiritual marrow." Spiritual marrow was a treasure that contained more energy than spiritual crystals. With enough spiritual marrow, the wood spirit queen could continuously produce more wood spirits and the dragonization fruit tree could grow rapidly. After the dragonization fruit tree grew, bloomed, and bore fruit, Tsing Hui's physique and life essence would transform again. At that time, the power of the transformation technique and the 49 great diffraction sword Qi would all increase. This was the cultivation path that Tsing Hui planned for himself. Chapter 770. 100,000 Spirit Essences. No problem. Dao Gang agreed without any hesitation. Although spirit essence was precious, it wasn't a precious item. Most of the time, it was only used as a transaction currency, but the Chiudao sect had a lot of it. Deacon Dong Yang, the price of 100,000 spirit essences is exactly 10,000 Dao points, which is 100 Dao rhymes. We have already deducted the Dao points. Please keep your card well. After completing the transaction, Dao Gang returned Tsing Hui's identity jade tablet to him. Deacon Dong Yang, the Chiudao sect has its own businesses in Blackwood City, Heavy Light City, Mountain Leaf City, Hundred Flowers City and other famous top cities in the Zhongshuan continent. Each city has a luxurious cave dwelling. If Elder Dong Yang can exchange your identity jade tablet for 10,000 Dao points and be promoted to a bishop, you will immediately receive a luxurious cave dwelling as a gift. Oh. Tsing Hui was a little tempted. After all, it wasn't very secretive to rent other people's cave dwellings all the time. How is the security of the luxurious cave dwelling? Please rest assured, Deacon Dong Yang. That luxurious cave dwelling is a place specially built by our Chiudao sect to provide shelter to all the rich bigwigs and sons of chaos whose identities are not guaranteed. There is absolutely no problem in terms of safety. In that cave dwelling, not only are there 4 experts who have cultivated the divine true body to lead patrols at all times, there is also a transversal realm patriarch of our Chiudao sect living in the cave dwelling. If there is a problem that the divine true body experts can't solve, the patriarch of our Chiudao sect will personally step in and exterminate the invaders. In addition, the area where the luxurious cave dwelling is located is protected by a 16th order formation, and each cave dwelling is protected by a 15th order formation. A 16th order formation. A 16th order formation, plus a reigning realm grand elder of the Chiudao sect. Even if several reigning realm experts attacked, they wouldn't be able to do anything to the luxurious cave dwelling area in a short period of time. With this thought, Tsing Hui nodded. Is there anything else other than the cave dwelling? You should know that 10,000 Dao points is a Dao item worth 100 Dao rhymes. The entire Chiudao sect, excluding the cost, only earns a few hundred Dao rhymes a year, right? With these merits, if you want Dao points, you will definitely be rewarded handsomely. It won't be difficult for you to move up your position. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Dao Gang's face immediately revealed a trace of embarrassment, but he still hurriedly said, Deacon Dong Yang, that luxurious cave abode is actually sold for 6 to 12 Dao runes on the market, and the king building is sold for an astonishing 20 Dao runes. It is definitely worth it. You only need to top up another 100 Dao runes, and you will not suffer any losses. You will be able to obtain such a cave abode that is worth nearly 10 Dao runes. At this point, Dao Gang gritted his teeth and said, if Deacon Dongyang needs it, I can arrange all the servants in the cave residence for you. Not only will there be personal guards and servants, but I can also provide you with 10 Feather Clan girls. What do you think? Harpies, during this period of time, Tsing Hui had a little understanding of the situation in the True Sun Great World. Other than the human race and ferocious beasts, there were also some humanoid races in the Eastern Sun Great World, and the Harpies were one of them. The Harpies were not only beautiful, but if they were to dual cultivate with them, they would have the effect of purifying the vital energy and cleansing the body of impurities. They were very popular on the market. Depending on the quality of a Harpies, they could be sold for a high price ranging from 10 to several thousand Dao points. There is no need to deliberately arrange it. I remember that there is a slave trade in Chiudao sect. Give me your high-level quota. Tsing Hui said. High-level quota. Dao Gang carefully weighed the gains and losses of the high-level quota and the Harpies and quickly made a decision. I only have 3 high-level quotas every 10 years. I have already given away one of the 3 high-level quotas, and there are only 2 left. However, if Deacon Dongyang is willing to wait for a while, I can gather 3 quotas for you. Sure. Tsing Hui nodded. In Chiudao sect, one could often buy many good things that could not be found on the market, and high-level slaves were one of them. These high-level slaves often had a skill, and their cultivation was not lower than the divine realm. They were often expensive. Tsing Hui reckoned that Dao Gang's assets were limited, and he could not afford a high-level slave. Therefore, he happily chose to give the high-level quota to Tsing Hui. This is a Daoist item with 100 Daoist rhymes. Tsing Hui waved his hand and took out the item with 100 Daoist rhymes. Dao Gang, who was still a little hesitant, immediately showed a look of ecstasy. Good, good, good. Deacon Dongyang, I will help you go through the formalities and upgrade your authority. As he spoke, he once again took the jade token to the place where the Daoist artifact was located and quickly completed the exchange of 10,000 Dao points. Bishop Dongyang, please keep your identity jade token. We will send you some of the basic benefits as a bishop soon. In addition, Dao Gang waved his hand, and a three-dimensional projection was projected. It was a continuous mountain range with hundreds of peaks. The mountain range was nearly 3,000 kilometers long, and each peak occupied an area of several kilometers. Some peaks even occupied dozens of kilometers. Each of these mountains had detailed markings that recorded the area, the density of spirit qi, the defensive formation, and the assigned servants. Bishop, please take a look. You can choose any of these 30 peaks. Qing Su glanced at the mountains. The 30 or so mountains were all very ordinary. Not only were they small in size, but the amount of spiritual qi was also very ordinary. After pondering for a while, Tsing Hui's gaze fell on one of the peaks that was more than 10 kilometers long. What about this one? This, just tell me how much Daoist rhymes you need. The price of this one is originally 1,400 Dao points, but if you like it, I can make the decision for you. You can add 800 Dao points. Okay. Tsing Hui directly took out his identity jade token. Seeing Tsing Hui so forthright, Dao Gang's eyes flashed with envy, but he quickly went through the relevant procedures for him. Soon, the peak disappeared from the three-dimensional projection. Bishop, soon, the formation control jade token, the slave contracts of the servants in the cave residence, and other related items will be sent to you. Dao Gang smiled. Tsing Hui nodded slightly. During this time, I want to take a look at the high-level servants on sale. Bishop, do you want to look at the Daoist artifact or go to the site to choose? At present, a batch of high-level servants just arrived in Blackwood City half a year ago. There are 24 of them, accounting for nearly a quarter of the total number of high-level servants. That's great. Let's go to the site. Tsing Hui said. He had the Qi art and even the supreme immortal technique of future reversal. He could vaguely judge whether a person had a future and whether they would be useful to him in the future. I'll personally bring Bishop there. Dao Gang obviously saw that Tsing Hui was of high status and wanted to make friends with him. He immediately summoned a middle-aged man with the cultivation of vacuum-shattering realm and asked him to temporarily take charge of his work, while he brought Tsing Hui to the interior of Qiu Dao. As Tsing Hui went up to the attic, the surrounding environment changed. In his vision, he could even see circles of spatial fluctuations. With the cooperation of these spatial fluctuations and the void crystal, the floor, which was only about 1,000 square meters in diameter, opened up into a different world. It made Tsing Hui feel as if he was in a group of courtyards. Oh, it's Supervisor Dao Gang. Seeing Tsing Hui and Dao Gang arrive, a middle-aged man who had also cultivated the divine real body immediately came out to greet them. Supervisor Iron Flag. Dao Gang greeted the middle-aged man and gestured with his hand. Let me introduce you. This is the new bishop of Qiu Dao, Bishop Dongyang. Bishop. Hearing Dao Gang's introduction, Supervisor Iron Flag's eyes suddenly lit up. He said enthusiastically, Bishop Dongyang, do you want to buy high-level servants? Then you've come at the right time. Our Blackwood City branch has just received a batch of high-quality servants. No matter what you want, we can almost satisfy almost all of them. Come, let me introduce you to Bishop Dongyang. As Iron Flag spoke, he directly led Tsing Hui to a courtyard. The courtyard was enveloped in a formation. As he pointed at it with his hand, a beautiful girl in a wide-sleeved dress with a noble and elegant aura suddenly appeared. Although the girl looked a little dispirited, the innate noble aura on her body was enough to make anyone's mouth water. Bishop Dong Yang, this is the little princess of the Chonglong Empire, Princess Longyu. She is the most beloved daughter of the Chonglong Great Emperor. The Chonglong Empire itself is a large empire with a territory spanning hundreds of thousands of kilometers. The Chonglong Great Emperor himself is a giant who has cultivated to the realm of freedom. He regards the little princess as the apple of his eye and has done his best to cultivate her. In terms of character, morality, and cultivation, she is the best choice. In addition, she has the cultivation of the divine realm and her ability to withstand damage is extremely high. If you buy her, you will be satisfied no matter what game you want to play. The Iron Flag supervisor gave Ching Su a knowing look when he said that, such a high-quality servant only requires 1,300 Daoist rhymes. It's definitely worth it. This kind of servant is useless to me. I need someone like a butler and a loyal guard. A butler needs to be knowledgeable, and a guard needs to have a high cultivation base. Tsing Hui silently glanced at Princess Longyu. He vaguely sensed something, but he didn't think too much about it and went straight to the point. A butler who knows everything and a guard with a high cultivation base. Iron Flag pondered for a moment and quickly thought of something. A guard is easy. Among the high-level servants we've tamed this time, there are a total of 6 vacuum-shattering guards. 2 of them are in Blackwood City. As for the butler, what about the butler? The butler's name is Tuoba Changkong. He has cultivated the Xuanwu bloodline and has lived for 8,000 years. He can definitely be considered knowledgeable. However, his cultivation base is as high as the vacuum-shattering realm, and with his own advantages, the price is a little high. Oh? How high? 8,000 Dao rhymes. It's only 8,000. I'll take it. Tsing Hui waved his hand and set the price. Chapter 771. Bishop Dong Yang sure is straightforward. Seeing Tsing Hui buy Tuoba Zhangkong without hesitation, he said, "All right, take me to see that Tuoba Zhangkong." "Lord Bishop, please follow me." Iron Flag led the way and soon arrived at a courtyard. Inside the courtyard covered by a formation, an old man in his 60s with an immortal aura was sipping tea, looking calm and indifferent. Tsing Hui didn't stand on ceremony and directly used the aura examination art to size up the old man. Just as Iron Flag said, this old man's cultivation was exquisite and had already reached the pinnacle of the vacuum-shattering realm. The spatial fluctuations on his body were faintly discernible. As long as there were enough resources, there was hope for him to condense a divine true body. In addition, having lived for 8,000 years, his lifespan was still quite long. It wouldn't be a problem for him to live for another 1 or 2,000 years. What surprised Tsing Hui was the old man's luck. His luck was actually blazing red. Although he had suffered a disaster now, his future was definitely not limited to this. Seeing through the other party's luck and lifespan was a change derived from the aura examination art's perfection. After Tsing Hui achieved this, he once again used the somewhat uncertain supreme immortal art, reverse future divination. As he used the immortal technique of future reversal, Ching Su saw flashes of swords and blades intermittently. However, in the end, he managed to escape unscathed. Before he could continue observing through reverse future divination, the scene he saw suddenly changed. The figure of Princess Longyu appeared in it. Her figure appeared in a flash, but in the end, it was fixed in a vast and resplendent starry sky. Then, the scene collapsed. This Princess Longyu. Her origin is problematic. From the information derived from reverse future divination, she seems to have come from the endless void. Tsing Hui's heart stirred. Then, he looked in the direction of Princess Longyu again. This time, he had already used the aura examination art. As he used the aura examination art, a dazzling red light suddenly soared into the sky like a pillar of chi, straight into the clouds. However, this pillar of energy that shot into the sky only lasted for a short moment before it was immediately suppressed by an invisible force, causing it to disperse with a bang and become muddle-headed. It was even to the extent that Xing Hui almost thought that it was an illusion. These are the two fated chances of life and death. Xing Hui suddenly understood something. Princess Longyu's fate clearly showed two extremes. One was to become a plaything of the masses, while the other was to soar into the heavens with a single bound, limitless. Soar to the heavens in a single bound, Xing Hui pondered for a moment and quickly came up with a plan. If he wanted to cultivate world creation in a thought within 10 years, it would be a fool's dream if he used conventional methods. In that case, he might as well gamble on this Princess Longyu. Qing Su had an idea, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he continued to observe the other high-class slaves with Tai Chi. Although the other high-level slaves had their own miraculous abilities, Xing Hui was most interested in their luck. None of them could compare to Princess Longyu. Bishop Dong Yang, how is your observation going? Good. Qing Su couldn't be bothered to waste any more time on Taba Zhongkong. He directly said, I want Taba Zhongkong. Besides that, there's also Princess Longyu. I just happen to have two high-class slaves. Is that all right? No problem, absolutely no problem. Bishop Dong Yang really has a good eye. Iron Flag hurriedly boasted to the side. After taking Xing Hui's identity jade tablet and completing the transaction, after deducting a total of 9,400 Dao points, he took back the two jade tablets that contained divine soul fluctuations. Bishop Dong Yang, these are the soul brands that control the life and death of these two people. Don't worry, both Tuoba Chongkong and Princess Longyu have been well trained by us. As long as you don't completely destroy them, they won't easily seek death or cause trouble. Of course, I also believe that Bishop must have many means to make them unable to die even if they want to. Okay. Xing Hui took the jade tablets and quickly refined them. As the jade tablets were refined, the life and death of Tuoba Chongkong and Longyu were in his hands. He could even vaguely control their every move through the jade tablets. With this ability, even if the two wanted to commit suicide, they wouldn't be able to do it. It's really a good method. Bishop, you flatter us. We asked Old Man Xinmo to personally take action to induce their inner demons and then take advantage of the situation to control them. It's not an easy task. Iron Flag said with a smile. Xing Hui knew that Old Man Xinmo was the supreme elder of the Demon Statue Palace, one of the top 16 forces of the Zhongshuan continent. The Demon Statue Palace was also one of the strongest forces in the Zhongshuan continent. They had 3 experts who could create a world with a thought, but because of their ruthless and cruel way of doing things, they were jointly opposed and resisted by several sections. After Xing Hui bought Tuoba Chongkong and Longyu, the two were quickly brought to Xing Hui by a middle-aged man who possessed the shattering vacuum realm. Without needing anyone to speak, Tuoba Chongkong and Princess Longyu respectfully bowed, "We pay our respects to Master." The two of them had already been trained. They were respectful towards Qing Su on the surface, but even if they had other thoughts, they would do their best to hide them. They would never let anyone see through them. Those stubborn people who would rather die than submit had truly been sent to see the King of Hell a long time ago. Okay. Bishop Dong Yang, the things have been delivered. How about we? At this moment, Dao Gang spoke up in a timely manner. Let's go. Bishop Dong Yang, remember to come often. If there are any top goods, we will inform you as soon as possible. Okay. Xing Hui nodded slightly to Iron Flag and followed Dao Gang out of the open space. After Xing Hui and Dao Gang left, the man who brought Princess Longyu and Tuoba Chongkong over said with a smile, as expected of the supervisor. He actually sold that old man for a high price of 8,000 Dao points. Hehe, with Tuoba Chankong's weight, 8,000 Dao points isn't considered expensive. It is indeed not expensive, but we have yet to completely clean up the remnants of the Astral Sword sect. As one of the most respected elders of the Astral Sword sect, someone could come to rescue Tuoba Zhangkong at any time. This is where the hidden danger lies. Didn't the previous two guests take a fancy to Tuoba Zhangkong because of this point? In the end, they temporarily let go of him because of this. Moreover, at that time, the manager had already lowered the price to 6,000 Dao points, right? It's just a business method. Tuoba Zhangkong does have a lot of merits. 8,000 Dao points can be considered a good deal. As for the hidden danger, he didn't inquire about it clearly. Who can he blame? Mortals sell pork filled with water and rotten fruits. Therefore, there's no need to make a fuss about this. After saying that, Iron Flag waved his hand and walked into the courtyard. Clearly, he was going to calculate how much profit he could make from this round of transactions. The items for Daoist seeking were quite simple. A bishop's robe with decent defensive power, a device specially used to connect to Daoist seeking Dao artifact, and a book to promote Daoist seeking Dao. After putting away these items and taking the control token for the cave dwelling, Tsing Hui headed out of Blackwood City. The cave abode developed by Daoist Chiu was about 2,000 kilometers away from Blackwood City. This distance was nothing to any Saint Realm cultivator. It was also the reason why they dared to sell a few or a dozen Daoist rhymes at a price. Since Tsing Hui bought one of the highest peaks in this cave-dwelling area, when Tsing Hui arrived, a divine real-body expert in charge of maintaining the safety of this area was already there with several vacuum-shattering guards. When he saw Tsing Hui, he immediately greeted him with a smile. "Are you Bishop Dongyang? I'm Chi Yukong, the commander of Cloud Mountain Cave. I'll take Bishop Dongyang to your mountain." "Thank you, Commander Chi." It's our duty to serve Bishop Dongyang and the others well. "Please come in," Chi Yukong said as he led Tsing Hui directly to his mountain. On this mountain peak, there were a total of 2 15th level formations. As for 14th level formations, there were more than 10 of them. Just the maintenance of the formations alone was not a small expense. In addition, there were many exotic flowers and herbs planted on the mountain peak, and there were red-crowned cranes flying around. It made the mountain peak look like a blessed land of immortals. It was barely worthy of its high price of 13 Daoist rhymes. "Bishop Dongyang, this is my identity jade token. If you need anything in the future, just send me a message. We'll be there as soon as possible." After bringing Qing Su to the mountain, Chi Yukong left behind his method of contact passionately. He did not seem like a great figure of the gods at all. It should be known that divine real-body experts only needed to make contributions in the Red Sun Empire to be conferred the title of Viscount. Those with prominent status could even be conferred the title of Count. They had jurisdiction over hundreds of millions of people. Even if they didn't become officials, they could still find a place to establish a sect and become the leader of a small sect. It had to be said that due to the environment of Daoist seeking, the members of Daoist seeking did not have the dignity and awareness of being experts at all. They all acted as if they were rich and powerful. But then again, this was also the reason why Tsing Hui chose to join Daoist seeking in the end. "Thank you." Tsing Hui nodded to Chi Yukong and landed on the mountain. The servants on the mountain who were responsible for the normal maintenance had already received the news and were waiting in the square. When they saw Tsing Hui arrive, they all bowed. Tsing Hui glanced around and saw that there were more than 200 maintenance personnel on the mountain. This was just the basic maintenance personnel. If he planned to do something else, there would be more people. "Alright, Tuoba Changkong, you're the manager of this mountain. Go and make the arrangements. I'll give you a day to take care of the mountain. I have something to ask you tomorrow." "Yes, master." Taba Zhangkong respectfully bowed and asked at the same time, Master, may I know what name we should give to the outside world? Name? Let's call it Dongyang Mountain. Yes. Tuoba Changkong replied respectfully. Long Yu stood to the side and said nothing. Even though she was mentally prepared for her fate, she would not take the initiative to serve Tsing Hui if he didn't mention it. Qing Su obviously would not force her to do anything. He only said, you don't have to feel too burdened. I'm only buying you because of the Chonglong Emperor's kindness in the past, so I'm just returning the favor. Alright, get the steward to make arrangements for you. Go get some rest. Don't worry, I won't force you. With that, he turned and left. Chapter 772. A day passed by quickly. Tuoba Changkong was the great elder of the Astral Sword sect. He was responsible for coordinating with the sect head to manage all the affairs of the sect. Now, he was naturally familiar with the small Dongyang Peak. Soon, the entire Dongyang Peak was in good order under his management. On this day, Tsing Hui also had a good understanding of his mountain. The defensive power of the mountain was unquestionable. In addition to the 16th order formations outside, there were also two 15th order formations in the mountain. One was used for defense, and the other was used to trap and kill. As for the remaining 14th order formations, they were mostly used for defense and isolation, mainly to ensure the concealment of the mountain. After a brief understanding of the formations on the mountain, Tsing Hui breathed a sigh of relief. Staying on this mountain, as long as he did not encounter a 16th order formation master or a maverick expert, he would have a chance to react to anything. As for 15th order formation masters and divine true body experts, they might have the ability to disintegrate this formation, but they definitely could not do it quietly. During this period of time, Chi Yukong and a Maverick Realm Grand Elder who lived here would definitely rush over as soon as possible, so it could be considered safe. Tsing Hui slightly dealt with the matters at hand. As if sensing something, he reached out and took the deep scarlet sword off his body. Tsing Hui carefully sensed the deep scarlet sword. In this divine sword, he vaguely felt the existence of a life. A sword spirit. It was the sword spirit that was only left with a broken sword intent. After all these years of nurturing the sword intent, this sword intent had finally completed the transformation from a broken consciousness to a sword spirit. Although it was still unable to communicate with Tsing Hui, it already possessed the characteristics of a sword spirit. It was equivalent to a special life form. A remnant sword can actually grow into a sword spirit. It's really tenacious. I really don't know how powerful this sword spirit was when it was at its peak. Tsing Hui held the deep scarlet sword in his hand and carefully examined it. He sighed emotionally inside. Since the deep scarlet sword had been refined into the originator, not only had the broken sword intent grown into a sword spirit, but it had also risen to the 16th order during this period of time. Its carrying capacity for the Sword of Sunlight had increased once again. Even when using the Sword of Eclipse, the burden on it had decreased significantly. It was just a pity that Tsing Hui had yet to meet someone who required him to use the Sword of Eclipse with his full strength. He still did not have a clear grasp of the sword technique's true strength. Tuoba Changkong is an expert at the peak of acoustic shattering vacuum. I should give him some time, Tsing Hui thought as he stowed the deep scarlet sword away. At the same time, he split a portion of his consciousness to glance at the dragonization fruit tree planted in his personal space. As he poured 100,000 spiritual marrow into his personal space, the Wood Spirit Queen's rate of nurturing wood spirits had clearly increased. Before the 100,000 spiritual marrow had even been depleted, she had already nurtured 3 wood spirits. There were now 6 wood spirits in total. The dragonization fruit tree's rate of growth had increased significantly as well. At this rate, as long as he could increase the number of wood spirits in his personal space to 20, he was confident that he could nurture a dragonization fruit tree within 10 years. Wood spirits, it really isn't something that just anyone can nurture. The amount of Tao that I possess right now is no less than the amount of Tao that those chaotic great lords possess. However, the efficiency of nurturing 4 or 5 wood spirits with 100 Tao rhymes is still heart-wrenching. If I want to nurture 20 wood spirits, I'll need 3 or 400 Tao items at the very least, Tao items with 3 or 400 Tao rhymes. If it weren't for the fact that dragonization fruit was rarely sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Xing Hui would have been tempted to buy it directly with Tao rhymes. Why would he spend so much effort on the dragonization fruit tree? Shaking his head, Xing Hui withdrew his gaze. He wanted to buy more spiritual marrow, but he had already spent 200 Tao rhymes on Taoism seeking. If he continued to spend more, he would definitely be targeted by the higher-ups of Taoism seeking. When that time came, it would be troublesome. Before his physique transformed again, and before his life essence reached the level of a divine beast, he planned to lay low for a period of time. Master. Early the next morning, Tuoba Chongkong had already arrived. He respectfully greeted Xing Hui. I've taken a fancy to you and bought you mainly because you were the Grand Elder of the Astral Sword sect back then. You're also very experienced. I want to know more about the True Sun Great World and even information about the outside world from you. Master, feel free to ask. Very good. Do you know of the Time Lord and the Master of Gods? I've read some records in the past. Regardless of whether it's the Time Lord or the Master of Gods, they are the greatest beings in the chaotic starry sky. It's said that they are on the same level as the Master of Chaos, the ruler of the divine realm formed by billions of worlds. Tuoba Chongkong respectfully said. Oh. Seeing that Tuoba Chongkong had actually heard of the Time Lord and the Master of Gods, Xing Hui's interest was immediately piqued. Tell me about the divine realm you mentioned and the chaotic starry sky. Yes, Master. Our Astral Sword sect had once been glorious and prosperous. Although we had never produced a great giant in the chaotic realm, our ancestors had more than one almighty who could create a world with a thought. These almighties had once served the distant ancestor of the True Sun Great World, Paragon Gao. They had also gone on an expedition to 3 worlds with Paragon Gao. They had also fought against the enemies that invaded our True Sun Great World. According to our communication with these worlds, we learned that the endless void governed by the Great Master of Chaos is called the Chaotic Divine Realm, named after the Master of Chaos. The other 2 vast voids are the Time Universe and the Divine Realm. Chaotic Divine Realm, Time Universe, and Divine Realm. Xing Hui's heart stirred. Then what about the worlds outside these 3 territories? The chaotic starry sky. Yes, many great worlds call the worlds outside the 3 territories that cannot be explored as the chaotic starry sky. However, it is said that the chaotic starry sky is extremely dangerous. Between our worlds, there are at most some void storms, void turbulence, void rays, and so on. The chaotic starry sky is filled with endless destructive energy. Even if a chaotic realm paragon were to step into it, there would be no return. At this point, Taba Zhangkong hurriedly added, of course, this is just some of the knowledge I've read from books. I can't determine whether it's true or false. After all, the greatness of a primal chaos realm lifeform is far from what I can guess. Xing Hui nodded. After hearing Tuoba Chongkong's explanation, he finally had a little understanding of this vast and boundless world. Do you know how to get to the border of the time universe from the chaotic divine realm where we live? Go to the time universe. Tuoba Chongkong was slightly taken aback. He hurriedly said, No, Master. The time universe and our chaotic divine realm are enemies. Not to mention going to the time universe, even if we live in a territory near the time universe, we might be attacked by the time universe's infiltrators. Without the guidance of an almighty who could create a world with a thought, going to the border rashly will almost certainly lead to death. I am just asking for the method. Don't be impatient. The method. Tuoba Chongkong hesitated for a moment, but still said truthfully, from what I know, some powerful worlds will open up teleportation formations to the border of the time universe. To us, the time universe is extremely dangerous, but to those who could create a world with a thought or even a chaotic realm expert, it is a battlefield for battle results. However, our true Sun Great World and a few other great worlds belong to the rear, which is equivalent to some backward, decaying worlds with exhausted potential. If one wants to go to those thriving and vibrant worlds, one has to go to the Divine Path Great World first, and then from there to the more prosperous and resplendent worlds. Along the way, one has to pass through many teleportation formations. Some worlds and worlds will destroy their teleportation formations to avoid being invaded. By then, if one relies on flying, it will take decades, centuries, or even centuries. Destroy the teleportation formations, yes. Tuoba Changkong said, this is what everyone has always done. In order to avoid being discovered and invaded, they will often shut down the teleportation formations. It will only be opened once every few hundred years, or even a few thousand years. After it is opened, it will be closed immediately. This way, the small circles can ensure their own interests. If those top experts want to go on an expedition, they will not only be resisted by the entire small circle, but also have to spend a long time on the journey. The gains do not make up for the losses. At best, they will force the small circles to pay some symbolic fees to ensure their rule over these small circles. After hearing this, Tsing Hui immediately understood how the weak worlds could survive in front of those powerful worlds. It was the distance, just like on Earth, a powerful country with many aircraft carriers would never rob a poor, small country with only a few aircraft carriers. This was because if you sent too few troops, you might be dragged to death in that small country. If you sent too many troops, the country might be poor, and the profits from destroying their country might not even be enough to fill the hole in your military expenditure. Are all the worlds in the primal chaos divine realm like this? They are all like this. The worlds are too far apart. Tuoba Changkong sighed. It is said that our primal chaos divine realm is the largest of the 3 territories. Moreover, because the various mysterious laws and alchemy in our primal chaos divine realm do not make much use of it, it seems to be purely a huge advantage. As such, the degree of civilization inside is very average. Master will know this if you participate in a few more wars against the primal chaos divine realm. At the lower levels, there are mystical abilities and mystic arts. When you reach the level of creating a world with a thought, it is a competition of whose world is bigger. As for the primal chaos realm, it is said that it is a competition of who can smelt more laws and whose world is sturdy. It is clear at a glance whether it is strong or weak. Tsing Hui deeply agreed with Tuoba Changkong's words. It could be seen from the divine beast cultivation system and the immortal cultivation system. The divine beast cultivation system was simple and direct, relying completely on energy, strength, and mass to win. As for the immortal cultivation system, there were countless immortal techniques, mystical abilities, and magic treasures. Especially magic treasures, they were unparalleled weapons that could turn the tide of a battle. The divine beast bloodline cultivation system was only more ordinary in the early stages. In the later stages, it would display all sorts of miracles. In the later stages, this cultivation system would become even more powerful. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.